race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your fly. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
So you see, son, good manners are very, very important. Someday, many years from now, when you're a grown-up, you'll be a man. And when you are, you should be a gentleman. Do you want me to go through it one more time?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If a door's shut, then knock first. Don't burp, don't swear, don't speak with your mouth full, don't reach across people's plates, keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
And don't interrupt. While we're at it, don't stare, don't use foul language, don't call people names, but do remember people's names. Always share your toys, play nice, and cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give up your seat to anyone who has trouble standing bottom line. Treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
Hey, there he is. How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand or what?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you okay?
I'm having a stroke.
Your face looks weird too.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you having a seizure or something?
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear.
I'm having a stroke.
You just need to know the sudden signs. Look for FAST, F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. Or S, speech difficulty. Then T, time. Time to call 911 immediately, because the sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. Know the sudden signs. Face, arm, speech, time. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
Or if that resume was from someone who
worked 12-hour shifts at the recycling company with my dad, who's 72. That taught me a work ethic that I carry with me every day.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone.
Growing up where I did, a lot of things could have gotten in the way of my goals. But I learned to push through, and that's what I bring to work every day.
So maybe it's time we look beyond the resume and look to Grads of Life. Discover new ways to develop great talent that are so much more than what's on paper at gradsoflife.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh, okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at smokeybear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time. It's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs. So I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do. Tell the world I see with an emoji to stop the bullies.
Know someone who's being bullied online? Send the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble, and it's in the symbol section near the clocks in your phone. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know you care. Learn more about the witness emoji at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Rosenthal says that Juan Soto wants Shohei Ohtani money. The Chiefs trade for DeAndre Hopkins. And the Rams put Cooper Kupp on the trade block. And much, much more on a new show of the Sports Loudmouth. Doc Rivers is going to have Damian Lillard run very fast out of town. Does he help them win? You're under 500. Aaron Judge helps the Yankees win. You're paying the player $300 million. You better be sure that that guy's going to help you get over the hump. For some reason, this guy is completely lost on calling plays. Maybe he's a therapist. Did you see Lamar Jackson cry to the rest? No, he didn't. We are back for a new show of the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Daryl Marks. My co-hosts, Speedy, Petey, and Jabba Chamberlain. And we have a very special guest in the studios today, Mr. Mikey C. Executive producer, Mr. Aaron Fishman, and Tommy Scoops as our sports minute. 631-672-3108 is the number to call. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including The Loudmouth with me and Speedy Petey and Mr. Jabba Chamberlain every single Mondays and Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and check out our local listings for all our shows is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Jabba, what is up, my friend?
Another day in bipolar Nebraska weather. It was a little chilly today, but nothing new going on here. Just getting ready for an exciting week here in Nebraska with we got Husker women volleyball on Friday. We've got it's exciting. Like it's sorry to say. Yeah, I mean we did have 90,000 at a volleyball game, so
yeah, Husker women's volleyball. That's what they look forward to over there in Nebraska. Wonderful.
And then we play Ohio State on Saturday.
Well, at least that stands out from all the rest. Speedy, what's up, man?
Well, Jabba, if Nebraska somehow upsets Ohio State, we'll have to bring Wes on at the beginning of the show. It was a big Ohio State fan, so you could roast him.
So you can give him the shocker.
I mean, I'll take whatever I can get with a Husker win. So I'll take anything I can get.
Mikey, what is up, man? It's the first time in a very long time you've been on the show.
Yeah, man. How's everything going?
We are good, obviously. We got Jabba now on the show. We're very happy to add him to a very exciting show, as we always have over the last, I would say, 8 years of just craziness. But we're very happy to add Jabba, and we're very happy to have you on as a guest on the show. So it's going to be a fun one tonight. I just want to say something for all the fans out there. I don't know if you've gone to a hospital, you go see doctors. I went to get an echocardiogram today, and I'll never forget it because I went in, and this nurse, I told the nurse where my veins are. I have very deep veins. I drink a lot of water today because I have very deep veins. I told her which arm, where, and I told her exactly where the vein is. Make sure you go to that vein. I told her, do not go into my hand. She stands there. She taps the vein, smacks the vein. I mean, lady, it's right there. I see it poking right out, right? It was sticking right out of my arm. So she decides to go to the other arm. She sticks me in the other arm, does not get the vein, and then she decides to go in my hand. I was about to choke this lady, absolutely choke this lady. And then when I went into the echo room for my exam, this lady's supposed to, like, I guess they pump like contrast in your arm. This lady didn't even know what she was doing. And I asked the guy that was doing the echogram, I said, how long she been here? Is she new? He says, no, she's been here for 10 years. This is what I deal with. I go to a hospital because I think they know more about, this kind of stuff than a regular exam room. And this lady absolutely screwed up. And by the way, I have scars. I don't have scars, but I have like black and blues all over my arm. Thank you. I didn't even take her name because I don't want to throw her under the bus, but it was horrible. Absolutely horrible. So I repeat, do not go to certain hospitals before you ask who is sticking you. That's all I'm going to say. That was my take on that one because I didn't like that today. At 8:30, we'll be talking to former Canucks, Hurricanes, Flames, and Devils goaltender. He's been on our show before. Eddie Lack will be joining us. We'll get into some, a little hockey because the hockey season started about a week and a half ago. The Islanders, the Rangers are up and running. So are the Devils. They're playing great hockey, so we will get into that. At 9 o'clock, we'll be talking to Mets PA announcer Colin Cosell. And I don't know if you know who his great-grandfather was, Howie Cosell. So he will be joining us. He's been a fan of mine. He's been following me for years, and he listens to the show, so we're very happy to have Colin on the show for the first time. MLB insider Ken Rosenthal reports that Juan Soto and his agent will go after the biggest offer no matter what happens in the World Series. Rosenthal says that Soto's camp will be much harder to negotiate with than the Aaron Judge's camp 2 years ago. He adds that Soto wants to pursue an offer that has more present-day value that obviously doesn't want to defer money. The $700 million that Shohei Ohtani got. He doesn't believe that Steve Cohen would back down in a bidding war with Hal Steinbrenner if the Mets want him badly. He also said He doesn't expect that the Yankees to pursue a massive bidding war with anybody, and Steinbrenner will have his ceiling. The most recent contract projection for Soto is 14 years, $554 million. I do believe the Mets are going to give him a significant offer. I don't know if it's going to become a bidding war with Hal Steinbrenner and Steve Cohen. I don't know what Steve Cohen is planning. You know that Steve Cohen fell short this year, and it was really because of their lineup. Now, what Juan Soto could do to their lineup is absolutely clean up some of the mishaps that happen in the NLCS. There's no question. You saw what Juan Soto did for the New York Yankees, the game-winning home run in the 10th inning that sent the Yankees to the World Series. Why couldn't Juan Soto do it for the New York Mets?
I don't think it's. I think it's the same in the fact of I don't doubt the fact that they're going to get something like that, and he'll be 26 on Friday. So if you look at the length of the Ohtani contract, he's 4 years older than him, and so I don't see the. I mean, it puts him at 40, and I mean he knows he's going to get his money. And Speedy and I were talking earlier, and it's like, is it a distraction? No, it's not a distraction because he knows he's going to get his money. He's already made $80 million. So, I mean, his pockets are still deep. So I think it's going to be interesting to watch. And I mean, when you look at it though, it's how many teams are able to afford that or willing to afford it. And I think that'll be, does somebody come out of the woodworks? I don't know.
He doesn't want to go out west. Everything that I've heard, he wants to stay on the East Coast. We've heard Philadelphia might make a run for him. The Mets, the Yankees, other teams, if they willing. I also heard the Red Sox might make a move for him too. So there are quite a few teams here on the East Coast that will give him an offer if push comes to shove. Now, I do believe that Scott Boras is going to go after the highest bidder. Now, Steve Cohen has the deepest pockets. There's no question that he does. And again, with the New York Mets, they're going to be looking for pitching in the offseason. Burns will be available. Fried will be available. Even Garrett Cole could be available if he decides to opt out. Yes, and there's a good chance he might. If he has a good World Series and the Yankees win and he pitches very well, he's owed $144 million. Why wouldn't he opt out if he thinks he could get an extra year, an extension from the 3 or 4 years that he has left? So I expect him to opt out of that contract. Now the questions go to, obviously, the story that is said by Ken Rosenthal, that they're going to go for the most money. Now, if you look at what Juan Soto did this year, he had his best season, all-around best season. Batting average to home run ratio to even, RBIs. He had a sensational year in Yankee Stadium. He loves it there in New York, obviously. He's grown up. His father grew up here in New York. So a lot of people think it is going to be a bidding war with the New York Mets and the New York Yankees. But I believe what Shohei Ohtani got with $700 million, I don't know if a team is going to go that high even to pay a guy that plays every day. Now, Juan Soto is a sensational player. He proved that he proved this year he could play defense. He could catch the ball in the outfield. He played right and left this year in Yankee Stadium. He actually played a lot better than I thought he was going to play. And he showed a lot of resilience, especially playing for the New York Yankees. When you look at the Yankees, it's very hard to play in New York. A lot of people have complained, and a lot of pitchers that have come here that couldn't pitch here in New York, couldn't play in New York. Well, it's been different for Juan Soto. He's been hitting. He's been doing everything that the Yankees expected him to do. And again, the Yankees gave up a pretty good pitcher in that trade. Actually, 2 pretty good pitchers in that trade. King had a great year in the second half of the season. I expect him to be a top pitcher in the National League for many, many years to come. And again, if the Yankees lose Juan Soto, again, they're going to have to fill in that spot. Now, they have a young player right now in the farm system that had, I think, 76 RBIs and I think 27 home runs this year. I expect him to be called up sometime next year, probably in the middle of the season. Dominguez, if he can actually stay healthy, he could be the future center fielder. And remember, Giancarlo Stanton has another 3 years left on the contract. It has a no trade clause. So he is going to be there till the end of that contract, unless he decides or speaks to the Yankees and tells the Yankees, listen, I'll go here, here, and here. if you want to trade me, those are the only 3 teams or 4 teams I want to go to, then I'll waive my no trade clause. But right now, the Yankees are stuck with that contract. So again, it is believed with the Mets taking off Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander off that salary cap, they're going to have a ton of money to spend. Why not put it in probably one of the top 3, top 4 offensive players in the league?
Yeah, I mean, Garrett Cole will be interesting too because he's 34 years old, owed that. I mean, obviously a lifelong Yankees fan, so I think that plays a part. And I think Soto, with what he did, and to your point, he definitely played way better defense. And obviously, I didn't really watch him that much. Obviously, you've seen him in the playoffs and stuff like that, but he definitely proved me wrong. I was like, he's a serviceable outfielder.
Yes.
But he was way more than serviceable and way better arm than I thought he had, and it was accurate. So, I mean, just an added bonus and a value. The Scott Boras effect will be in play. My dad actually kicked Scott Boras out when he was going to be my advisor in college because the meeting went too long and I was starting to fall asleep. So I've had some encounters with him. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it is just the highest bidder and go from there.
Yeah, you wonder with the Mets how much aggressive they're going to be approaching wise, because David Stearns, I think, was brought there to be the middle market compromise to Steve Cohen's reckless spending from 2 years ago. And Billy Epler was on board with the reckless spending because the Angels were reckless spenders when he was there. They go after Albert Pujols, they go after CJ Wilson, that doesn't work out. Josh Hamilton, the big contract they gave him, and it didn't work out. And the Mets had very similar flaws. Now, some of those players are still there. Starling Marte still gained good value once he had the injury gone. Canna was pretty good for a little while before he got traded. So the Mets have enough availability with this money to make it work, but David Stearns is still not going to operate that same kind of way. I agree with you. Corbin Burns, I think, will be the first priority, but will they go to that big of Juan Soto? If Juan Soto is going to get $600 million, it doesn't really seem.
He spent $1.4 billion in the last 4 years. You don't think he'll be offering Juan Soto that $680 million contract
No, I
with
think
incentives?
that's too high. I think that's high.
You think it's too high, but to him, after what you saw in the NLCS and not hitting, only 2 players hit in the NLCS for the New York Mets? If that's the case, Juan Soto is the perfect fit for the New York Mets, and they might overspend to bring in a superstar player like that. First of all, it puts fannies in the seats, 1. Number 2, it will sell a lot of jerseys and a lot of hats and a lot of memorabilia, all the different things, and it's going to fill out the stadium. When you have a superstar of that magnitude in your stadium playing week. By the way, how many games did he play this year? I think he played 158 games. He played a significant amount of games. I think he was hurt for 2 weeks. I think
it was briefly in the summer he got hurt
for 2 weeks, but he played the majority of the games, and he usually is 100% healthy all season long. So he is consistent, and at 26 years old, going into next year, he is everything you want for the New York Mets. And you see with the Yankees, if the Yankees win the World Series, one of the main reasons why the Yankees are going to win the World Series as they move on to the World Series is Juan Soto. There's no question.
Yeah, the only reason I think that he would get a 14-year deal too is he's one of those younger, more durable stars. And you look at, like you said, he had a brief stint hurt this year, a brief stint hurt the end of last year. Like, that's really been it in his career. It's crazy to think that when you look at all these other superstars in baseball that have gotten hurt. So a 14-year deal that any team, whether it's the Mets, whether it's the Yankees, the Phillies, like you mentioned, I definitely think the Phillies could be in the running too. They could trade some other veteran pieces if they want to band that brotherhood together for one big hurrah, especially
they have to get
next
it.
year.
Don't they have to get rid of Castellanos?
They're going to have to get rid of Castellanos.
That's what I meant.
And probably some of their other veteran pitchers maybe to make that kind of
But
thing
who
work.
wants Castellanos' contract? Everybody, they tried to trade him last offseason, and they couldn't move it. So who's going? He had a worse season this year than he did last year.
That's what makes it tough. Now, he's also a good playoff player, so maybe a team that maybe thinks they need a couple more hitters, a younger team that maybe gets a couple more hitters. Maybe they're thinking that kind of thing. That would be the only way the Phillies would be able to do it because they spent a lot of money on these hitters already. Now, they lost Rhys Hoskins this year. He went to the Brewers. And again, some of these veteran pitchers, these veteran relievers they paid could be another thing. But I still wouldn't rule it out if they're thinking Dave Dombrowski's thinking, okay, we fell really badly short this year. We were one of the best teams, if not the best team in baseball, and they underwhelmed. Let's get this brotherhood together. One of the best playoff players. It could definitely work, and especially if there's a bidding war with the Mets.
Well, the only thing I will say is this, Errol, you touched on one thing, and the only reason why I think the Mets will be in it is because of his age, 26 years old. And going to the age, 14-year contract, I'm not going to lie, Jabba, I'm sorry, I know, and you think that he's a great outfielder. I think his outfield will decline because I don't think he's
Oh,
that
yeah.
good of an outfielder. I just
Yeah,
don't.
without a
And
doubt.
so he's definitely set by the age of 30, 32, the latest, a DH and a future DH, no matter what. And I don't know if the Yankees can handle 2 DHs on the roster with Judge probably looming down the road to be a DH as well, and as well as if they sign Soto. The only reason why I think the Mets will possibly entertain is because of the age. I think the Yankees need to obtain him because of what he did being in Yankee Stadium. The short porch, he had his best career. And it also helped, with everything getting to me, I'm sorry. I know Aaron Judge had a phenomenal year and a great year. Soto really got them to the World Series.
Well, yeah, but
And Giancarlo, but I'm saying Juan Soto had some clutch hits during the season. You know what I'm saying? Soto had a lot of clutch hits during the season when Judge was struggling. Judge always hit these mammoth home runs after the fact. To me,
he's bookend on both sides,
Right.
So it's like pick your poison. Like who?
And with the short porch in right field in Yankee Stadium, his numbers will just continue to inflate. Continue.
Yeah, he's just going to get more comfortable. Like you've seen how comfortable he was already, and then that's only if he does resign. With time, it's just going to become more comfortable. And the city's already embraced him, and his dad's from there, so I think it's going to be interesting to see how they go about it. And assuming when they do medias, they're gonna ask him about it. But he's done a great job with handling himself through the media, and just giving credit where credit's due. So he's a great fit. And selfishly, I hope we pay him.
He's a great fit to any team. I mean, a 26-year-old right fielder, you can't beat that. I remember, and I even said this back then to Errol, I believe, when Machado and Harper were free agents at the same time, and they both got $300 million contracts, give or take. And I said, that is the perfect teammates to get a 26-year-old, 2 bookends, that were young and up-and-coming stars. And look at them now. They're still phenomenal ball players. At $300 million to where now it's almost going to become nothing to any team moving forward. To where we're talking about Ohtani at 700 and possibly Soto at 600. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you're going to get rare circumstances as well, where it comes to big market teams now elevating their rank in the postseason. We were talking about it last year, like all the fluky teams that surprised the world and went to the World Series with the Rangers and the Diamondbacks, all these younger teams making the postseason. It kind of not went completely in reverse, but now you're seeing these higher payroll teams do there. So that's even more of an incentive to say, I can also chase the money and try to win at the same time.
And I hate when people say, "Oh, you're buying a World Series." It's not paid.
Right.
It's played on paper. Yeah, for you idiots. Like, no, this is a game where you got to go perform, and we're seeing it happen. And certain guys have stepped up in certain ways, and it's just something where people always they're so quick to jump to conclusions. I'm like, let it play out. Like, there's time. Like, I get every game matters, but we've seen a stretch where they struggle. And you know what? You got to grind through it. And, Errol and I were talking about how crazy this postseason schedule is going to be with, having to go coast to coast. And it's going to be interesting. And I talked to one of my guys inside the club. They don't even know if they're going to stay and work out or if they're just going to leave right after the game. So it'll be interesting to see how they navigate that, because you're playing. If it goes to game 7 or if it goes to game 6, you're playing 6 games in 7-8 days. And then if it goes 7 games, you're doing it in 9 days. And now New York has to make 3 total trips where LA only has to make 2. So people don't understand going and competing. And yeah, you get a day off, but now you're changing time zones and then going to compete, how much that plays a factor in it. And you try to block it out, but it's just you got to do something. Like in this instance, less is more. What matters is preparation and getting your body ready. But it'll be interesting to see if there's any effect with the coast to coast flights.
And by the way, everybody keeps saying that the Yankees bought Juan Soto. They didn't buy nothing.
They didn't buy him.
They gave no, but a lot of people are saying, "Oh, they're
Really?
buying their championship." They didn't buy
They didn't buy
anything.
him. That's so
They
true.
gave him an arbitration of $30 million. That's what he's worth right now. As far as arbitration, he had the highest arbitration in Major League history, so he well deserved, because he's one of the best hitters in baseball. But again, the Yankees gave up a lot for Juan Soto. And if they win the championship, it's not just Juan Soto that did it. They had Giancarlo Stanton has played very well. He was the American League MVP in the ALCS. Then obviously you saw what Gleyber Torres did in that series and throughout the playoffs. Gleyber Torres hit over 300, and he's a good at the number one spot. Garrett Cole pitched very well. Even the other pitchers and Clark Schmidt played very well for the New York Yankees. So it wasn't just one player that got them there. It was every single one of those players. Even Wells was a great defender at the catching position. Remember, Austin Wells, when he came into the league, everybody said he was not a good catcher. He was going to be a first baseman. Look what he did in this series. How many blocks did he have in this series that saved the Yankees? I mean, people keep saying, well, catching, you need the power now. You need that guy that's going to give you 15 to 20 home runs, which Austin Wells will give you. But you also need that defender. You need that guy that's going to be able to put his body in front of the ball. Something that we talk about Real Muto and how great Real Muto has been over the years. I think Austin Wells, being that he's 22, 23 years old, he's a young guy. He's the future for the New York Yankees, and with tremendous power too. So it's not just one player. Everybody's got to take a step back and stop saying, well, Juan Soto, yeah, he hit that 3-run shot. There was no question. Who hit the 2-run shot that tied the game? So you have to hold back. I know Aaron Judge did not have a good series. There's no question. But if Aaron Judge hits 4 home runs in this series and helps the Mets, helps the Yankees win the World Series, forget what he did throughout the playoffs. That's it. He did it in the big game. He did it in the big series. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I think a lot of people keep saying that the Yankees this and the Yankees that. For years, they bought their teams. Really? Whenever they went out and bought their teams, they failed. Go look. Jason Giambi, did they win with Jason Giambi? They never did. If you go back and look at the players they brought to this organization, they won 1 championship in 2009 with CeCe Sabathia, A.J. Burnett, and Mark Teixeira. That was the only time when the Yankees dug into their pockets and spent, $600 million to bring those 3 players in, that they won a championship spending the money. So I take the break, shake those breaks up, spit out the brake dust or whatever the hell it is, wash out the brake dust, and stop saying that the Yankees bought their championship. It's a bunch of bull.
You don't know much about cars, do you?
No, I don't. I'm very bad at it, actually.
Oh, he has a friend that's an expert.
That's right. I don't have to worry about that. He takes care of that crap. Ian Rappaport reports that the Titans have traded DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs for a 5th-round draft pick. The 5th-round draft pick becomes a 4th-round pick if Hopkins plays 60% of the snaps and the Chiefs reach the Super Bowl. The Titans will pay $2.5 million of the $5 million remaining on Hopkins' contract. Despite being hurt since week 3, Rashee Rice still led the Chiefs in receiving yards. Patrick Mahomes also only had one 300-yard passing game this season. Hopkins had 15 catches for 173 yards and 1 touchdown in 6 games for the Titans. I will say this. They needed to make a move. They needed it because Xavier Worthy has not been the player they thought he was going to be. I thought Xavier Worthy was going to be explosive. He was going to be another Tyreek Hill, maybe even a better Tyreek Hill. He has not been the player that we thought he was going to be. Pacheco has not been healthy. He's been out, and he's not going to be back probably, they're saying, to week 10. So losing Pacheco has affected their offense because they've become one-dimensional. That's what they've become. And you could say whatever you want about Patrick Mahomes, all you people out there saying that, well, he's a superstar. He's the best player. He's the best quarterback in the NFL. Really? Now, I could remember a lot of quarterbacks, including Tom Brady, with all the injuries he had over there in New England, play with no-name guys and still win games. Now, Patrick Mahomes is winning games, but he's not winning the games with his arm. He's actually winning games with other things. He's using his legs a little bit more than he has over the last couple of years. And his defense, his defense in their play has gotten better in the last few games. And that's why they're undefeated right now. It has nothing to do. Everybody wants to say that. Patrick Mahomes has 8 interceptions? I think he leads the league in interceptions right now. So for all you Patrick Mahomes lovers out there that absolutely adore this guy, he has not had a good season. He's on 2 of my fantasy teams. He absolutely blows. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs can't win the Super Bowl this year. They absolutely can. And adding DeAndre Hopkins opens up the floodgates for them. Why? Because DeAndre Hopkins can do so many things. You can move him in a slot. You can move him on the outside. He still can run many different routes, and he's still one of the better route runners in the league. Now, he's not what he was when he was younger, when he was playing for the Texans and he was explosive, but he could still do things that other players cannot do on the Kansas City Chiefs. And again, the Kansas City Chiefs needed a playmaker. Now, there were stories coming out, and we will get into the Cooper Kupp story. I know the Kansas City Chiefs reached out to the Rams. They were not willing to give up a second-round draft pick for Cooper Kupp because of his injury situations. But DeAndre Hopkins, you get him for a 5th round, maybe a 4th round if you go to a Super Bowl. I think that's a steal. And I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to give you, before the season's end, about 6 or 7 touchdowns. He'll give you about 800 yards, and he could be explosive in the playoffs. And if it's a one-on-one game with DeAndre Hopkins, he's been known to beat those one-on-one targets. So I do believe DeAndre Hopkins was a good fit for them. How good? And stop it, Chief fans on social media. Rashee Rice is not coming back. He's not. He tore his ACL. He's out for the season. He's not Phillip Rivers, who can, just step back 3 steps and throw the ball. That's not going to happen with Rashee Rice. And I do believe they need another weapon. I think they should go after another guy. So, I mean, it's not over. The trade deadline's another week away. Maybe they make another move. Maybe they go after Mike Williams. Maybe the Jets are willing to move Mike Williams to the Chiefs. I don't want to see that because that's giving them another weapon. But the Chiefs are not done. I think the Chiefs are going to make another move. And again, Ian Rappaport comes out and says this. And as soon as he said this, now everybody's coming to the conclusion where Cooper Kupp is going to go. And being that, and I think it's going to be the Buccaneers. We'll get into that in just a few moments because they lost Mike Evans. He could be out 4 to 5 weeks. They lost
Chris Godwin.
He's out for the season, tore his ACL. So it's really, Baker Mayfield has really got this team playing very, very well. I wouldn't be surprised if the Buccaneers pull the trigger and go after Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, the other thing that was challenging for the Chiefs, too, was the money situation. They did everything they could to try to get Chris Jones the contract that he wanted in the offseason and try to keep a lot of their other guys from their Super Bowl team. And they were left at about $5 million after the Cup's, I think it was about 6. So Cooper Kupp was going to be very hard to make that kind of thing work. But we were talking about it last week with Amari Cooper. The Bills made the power move to get Amari Cooper before the Chiefs could. They were the ones that were most interested, or Amari Cooper was the one that was most interested in before that. So the next option was to get somebody else affordable, and DeAndre Hopkins was that guy. They got Tennessee to pay $2.5 million of it. The Chiefs only have to pay $2.5 million of it. And the other thing is, it's a big body guy, which they haven't had in this scheme. Even Tyreek Hill, when he was there, he's big for his size, he's big for his level of speed, but he's not an overly big guy. They never have these big body wide receivers besides Sammy Watkins that I can remember since Andy Reid took over.
Please. Sammy Watkins?
Yeah, that's the thing of it. Now, Sammy Watkins did play well in the Super Bowl, so you got to give him
I used to call him Sammy Whathands, okay?
Yeah, to think about what he was.
He probably had his hands in his pants more than in the air, okay?
That's very fair considering his level of drops and for the level of prospect that he was.
Pulling his dingleberries.
That's the only receiver that's gotten a good, somewhat production in the postseason in Andy Reid's scheme. They haven't had that big body guy since then. Hopkins is a lot better than Sammy Watkins, obviously. So obviously the move that they had to make with the Chiefs, and now everybody's going to be catching up to the Chiefs. And I think because of that thought process, everyone's got to make this move to get the process going for the Chiefs. That could help the Rams as well, like you're talking about with Kupp, get more value in a trade where these other teams in the AFC could be more desperate.
Yeah, but I don't see any team trading a 2nd-round pick for him that I keep hearing, and they'll take on the salary.
Oh, the Buccaneers will. The Buccaneers need him.
I don't know. I mean, there's so many other receivers that could be available that is not Cooper Kupp, worthy, but has the potential to be a decent to good receiver. That's all they need. McMillan's not bad. Palmer's not bad. They just need guys. They just need more guys. I wouldn't pay a second for Cooper Kupp only because of his injury history. I wouldn't even touch him.
It also depends on how much of the salary the Rams take, too.
Doesn't matter. A 2nd-round pick is a valued pick. There's nothing.
And he's over 30.
For a guy that could go on the field and get hurt again. No,
I know.
I'm not doing it. No, you know what? Give me a 6th-round pick. I'll give you Gary Slayton.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, jump right on that.
Oh, no, it's the Chiefs pattern. We were talking about it
You
yesterday.
mean Darius Slayton?
Yeah,
Give me a
the
break.
Chiefs love getting all the ex-Giants. If it's a
Gary?
pattern.
Yeah, he's about Gary Slayton. There's no such thing because that's what Darius Slayton completely disappears in games. He has one game where you can go out and get the ball, and the next game you don't know where the hell he is.
Do you know
He's
who the
probably
quarterback
hanging out.
is?
What?
He's pretty bad. The quarterback is pretty bad.
Who?
For the Giants.
Oh, stop.
He's
Go ahead,
pretty
Jabba.
bad.
Get out of here.
He's
Get
pretty
out of
bad.
here. Get out of here, Mike. Well, give him some weapons, and we'll see if he's pretty damn bad.
Oh, my God.
They don't have any weapons.
Really?
Give me another weapon. Give me another weapon the Giants have. Give me another one.
Neighbors, Slayton, Wendell Robinson.
Neighbors hasn't been healthy in the last couple of weeks. Give me another one. Give me another
Robinson?
one. Give me another. Wandale Robinson? Are you kidding me? Another guy that can't stay healthy. A second-round draft pick who should have been a fourth-round draft pick. Yeah, he's great. He's great. He wouldn't make any other roster in the NFL if it came down to it. Yeah, I've seen all these guys that the Giants keep bringing in, and they completely choke artists. And you're going to tell me, how about their offensive line? Who's protecting him right now? Steven Sachs. Give me a break, Mike. Oh,
Well, when Andrew Thomas went out, the whole line just baffled and shut down.
Baffled. Baffled's being nice.
Because they didn't give up as many sacks prior weeks until Andrew Thomas went out.
Oh, stop.
They were giving up like maybe 1, 2, 3 tops.
Who did they play the last couple of weeks, Mike? Come on, Mike. You're going to sit here and tell me, I'm going to sit back and you're going to tell me that Daniel Jones sucks and all you Giant fans.
Horrible.
Yeah, okay. He's horrible. He's horrible. He had one bad week. He had one bad week before.
draft day.
Yeah, whatever, Mike. You
Yeah,
can tell me
should've
whatever
never
you
been
want.
drafted.
And what did
He
the Giants
should've
give him?
never
What
been
did the
drafted.
Giants give him since the draft day? What did they give him? No, I'm sorry. Malik Neighbors, after what, 5 years, 6 years down the road? Odell Beckham was gone when they brought him in. Come on,
By the
Mike.
way, Mike, how's your Patriots fandom going that night?
Okay, Jabba.
Drake May is the best. Man.
Ja-
He's the best
Oh,
quarterback
yeah,
in the league.
he's
He'll
great.
be the best quarterback within
You're
4
out of
years.
your mind. Go ahead, Jabba. What are your thoughts?
Did you say within 4 years?
Within 4 years.
He's out of his mind.
God, what did you have some extracurriculars before you got here?
Yeah. He's probably doing something.
No, Drake May would be the best quarterback in the league in 4 years.
Okay.
No chance.
No
I
chance
was,
in hell.
I was just going to touch on the Chiefs too. Like they had to bring in something because now he's out next week too, when they play the
Mhm.
Raiders. So it's like, okay, well, what are we going to do? We have to do something. And I think he's the right decision. Obviously, can he stay healthy? And is it sexy to say it moves from a 5th round to a 4th round and they're only paying 2.5, but they got to reach a Super Bowl, and they're still getting a 5th round pick. But yeah, it was interesting to see when those terms came out, how they broke it down. I found it really, really interesting that he has to play 60% of the snaps and them getting the Super Bowl. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see where some of these other receivers fall, because there's a bunch of teams that need them. My fantasy team being one of them. So it's where you try and find the best fit, but also get the most return. And I mean, like we've touched on Cooper Kupp, that's a tough to give up a 2nd round pick. 4th, maybe. I mean, injuries, he's on the other side of 30. I don't know. I don't know the right fit. I don't know if the Bucs with Cooper Kupp, I bet the Steelers, because they tried to go after Ayuk and Devontae. And if they want a 2nd round pick, I don't know. It'll be interesting. The Steelers are favored by I looked up some odds on the computer, and they're minus 125.
The Chargers are second, apparently.
I don't think both of those teams are going to get him. I think Tampa, after losing the wide receivers they lost this past weekend, I think they're going to make the biggest move and the biggest jump because of the fact that Baker Mayfield is showing you guys, even with the lack of weapons, with an offensive line that has protected him. I have to give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line a lot of credit. This year, they've been sensational. Keeping Baker Mayfield on top of it, on his feet, letting him make the plays, making him, step into the pocket, step into his throws, and he's been a different quarterback. This is Baker Mayfield's best year as a starting quarterback in the NFL. He has been sensational. And by the way, the Athletic reports that the Rams have called teams about a potential Cooper Kupp trade. Reports say that the Rams are looking for a 2nd round and are willing to take a majority of the remaining $14 million of the contract. Kupp has an opt-out in his contract after the season, and if he opts in, will have 2 more years of a cap hit of $25 million. The Steelers are the favorites to trade for Kupp, but Pro Football Talks Mike Florio says that he expects the Steelers to only do it for a bargain. The Chargers, Buccaneers, and Lions are 3 other teams that are expected to be active for trading for Kupp. Kupp has been activated off the injury reserve and is expected to play tomorrow versus the Vikings if he's not traded by then. I love Cooper Kupp, all right? And I understand he's over 30 years old and he's at the tail end. Cooper Kupp is still a very good route runner. He can change a lot for a team, and he can do a lot of things. You could put him in the slot. You could put him on the outside. If he stays healthy, Cooper Kupp can be your number 1 guy. Now, Cooper Kupp is going to opt out of his contract no matter what next year. If he gets traded to the Steelers, the Buccaneers, wherever he goes, he's opting out of the contract. He's going to want more money because I do believe Cooper Kupp is a lot better than people think he is and still has a lot left in those legs. Now, Cooper Kupp is a guy that is injury prone. And is he worth a 2nd-round draft pick? I don't know, okay? I really don't. If he stays healthy for the rest of the season and he gives you 10 touchdowns and 1,300 yards, 100% worth a 2nd-round draft pick. Now, the Steelers, out of all the teams, probably are going to be the team willing to do that. I do, because the Steelers, with the weapons, with the defense that they have this year and the running game that they have this year, and they have 2 quarterbacks. They don't know who's going to be the starter week in and week out because they want to play both of them. But they do have enough with George Pickens there and some of the other weapons that they have. If you put Cooper Kupp on that offense, that changes everybody's thoughts of their offensive style of game. And then you do have a pure number 1 guy that you can put in the slot. You can put on the outside. So automatically, if Pittsburgh lands Cooper Kupp, they're definitely going to be one of the favorites of coming out of the AFC. There's no question they will. Now, again, Cooper Kupp has to stay healthy. Is he worth a 2nd-round draft pick? I think he's better. I think he's worth a 3rd round. But again, teams could reach if they think they have a chance to go to the Super Bowl this year. And remember, when was the last time the Pittsburgh Steelers were in a Super Bowl? When was the last time
they played the Packers?
When was the last time the Pittsburgh Steelers were in an AFC title game? So, I mean, if there's a year that they're going to make a move, remember, they're paying Russell Wilson $1.7 million. He's very cost friendly. I think right now, why not jump in the Cooper Kupp sweepstakes? It's worth it right now if you think Russell Wilson can get you to the promised land. So I just think right now, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, I do whatever it takes to get Cooper Kupp. But I think the team that's going to win him, and I think the team that's willing to spend and probably give the highest bid, I think it's the Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers right now, they can win their division pretty easy right now. No Derek Carr, no problem. I think there's nobody in that division. Atlanta's good, but I don't think they're going to challenge them for that division, especially the way Baker Mayfield's playing. Who would have thought that Baker Mayfield would be considered an MVP candidate? And he is.
Yeah, and he absolutely is, because you look at the way that he's elevated these other receivers as well. And these younger guys, Jabba, you were talking about it with Trey Palmer and Jalen McMillan. They've played very well as number 2 and number 3 type of receivers. But losing the Evans and Godwin. Evans only half the season, but it's still going to be enough time that could make it up in the NFC playoff race. The NFC playoff race is very deep this year, with the NFC North playing as well as it is. And you got to expect San Francisco, when they get healthy, to start playing well too. The Eagles, seems like that. That's one reason.
When's Debo coming back, Speedy?
The Debo is an interesting one because it's an illness. He might be back.
He's got water in his lungs. He's not coming back anytime soon.
But you also look at the Buccaneers. They have the cap advantage besides the Lions over every other team that's listed there. The Chargers had to purge a lot of veteran players. The Steelers had to make it work. That's why they couldn't trade for Ayuk. They didn't want to give him the $30 million a year that San Francisco was willing to give him. And that kind of thing maybe challenges the Steelers in order to do that job, as much as you think it's going to be the best fit for him. Schematically, yeah, maybe it is because of the way that Arthur Smith's run that offense. But Tampa's offense is very similar to that kind of thing as well, where I think they can make that kind of thing work and still give him the money that the Rams are going to want in that contract.
Yeah, it's catch-22 because they are very similar offenses in that regard, with the way you can take advantage of his abilities. It's just, I think, like Earl said earlier too, like Steelers are obviously the favorite, but with how their offense has been this year so far, I like if I'm a betting man, it's not a great bet, but I think now that they've literally lost Evan and Godwin, like you kind of gotta go get somebody, whoever you think the best fit for your scheme is and what you think is going to bring the most value to your team to win right now. I mean, that's what the trade deadline is. It's like, I'm probably going to rent this guy if he has an opt out. And so I think the Bucs are going to be more aggressive just for the mere fact of what they've just lost.
Oh, I think so too.
Interesting. I have a sleeper team that wouldn't be shocked if they called on for Cooper Kupp, and that's the Detroit Lions. I think Cooper Kupp on the Lions would put him over the top and guarantee almost in the Super Bowl if he stays healthy to go out of Amari St. Brown and Jameson Williams, who's going to be out for like 2 weeks.
Yay, random drug test.
I know. I don't think the Lions are going to be willing to give up a second round draft.
I just don't think a second round pick is going to be. I don't think any team is going to.
I think the Buccaneers will. I think if the Buccaneers believe that they can make a run right now in the NFC. The NFC is not really that good. Who really scares you? The Lions are playing good, and so Minnesota.
I think the Bears are playing good, and they have a good defense.
I don't. I don't think they're going to.
I don't have faith in the quarterback, but I'm just saying they are playing well.
The Bears have beaten the Titans, the Jaguars, not great teams.
Honestly, and that everybody keeps talking about the NFC North. I think the best team in the NFC North, even though Minnesota and the Lions are on top of the North, is the Green Bay Packers. Right. They're the best team in that division right now. I think as long as Jordan Love stays healthy and he gets his feet under him, that team is going to be explosive all the way through the playoffs. But I think the Buccaneers could absolutely beat any one of those teams. San Francisco don't scare me. Seattle doesn't scare me if they sneak into the playoffs. None of those teams scare me. Atlanta's not making the playoffs this year the way they're up and down. Okay, the Eagles are horrible. I mean, Washington, we don't know if Jaden Daniels is going to come back 100% healthy. So who's winning that division right now? The Giants. We all know what the Giants' offensive line is and the woes over there. I mean, and then the North. 3 teams could come out of the North right now. You have the Lions, the Green Bay Packers, and Minnesota. Minnesota is going to make the playoffs. Minnesota don't scare me. Minnesota does not scare me. I don't care. I love Sam Darnold. I think he's a great quarterback. He's going to earn himself a lot of money in the offseason. I don't trust him in the playoffs. I don't trust.
Well, there's a rumor that they might try to go after Stafford.
They're not.
No, that was false. They confirmed today that was
they're not doing
true.
That. They're not.
You don't have faith in the Bears on their defense. It's pretty good.
Listen, I love the quarterback. Everybody knows.
No, I know that.
Caleb Williams.
They have a lot of weapons, and they've been putting up points.
They're putting up points.
And their defense is pretty good.
I don't trust Eberflus. I think he's a horrible coach. I really don't like him.
I'm not saying go all the way, but I think they have the chance to make the playoffs at least with their record, or I think they may have an easy schedule.
They played ugly against.
Let's look at the quarterback play and we will look at the quarterback play because it's very, very important. Okay, let's go in the NFC right now. Is Jalen Hurts playing that well?
No.
Okay, so we got one. Jaden Daniels is playing well, but he's still a rookie, so I'm not going to bet on the rookie. All right. Dak Prescott, is he playing well right now?
He is, but the team isn't.
Exactly. So that takes the Cowboys completely out. And let's move away.
They can never match with one another. One's good and Dak sucked.
Exactly.
Good.
Exactly. Caleb Williams, he's good, but he's a rookie. I'm not looking at rookies. I'm not going to trust the rookies in the playoffs if they sneak into the playoffs. Jordan Love, is he playing well?
Interception prone, but besides that, yeah.
He's playing well. Sam Darnold, he's playing well? Mm-hmm. I don't trust Sam Darnold in the playoffs. Okay. Jared Goff, is he playing well?
Oh, yeah.
He's playing well. His team is playing well. Jared Goff last year, when the going got tough in the big game, Jared Goff made some mistakes, especially in the second half, and it cost his team. Now, I like Jared Goff now. I'm going to give him a lot of credit. I still don't trust Jared Goff. Now, let's go into that division. Kirk Cousins. Do we trust Kirk Cousins in the playoffs?
Yeah.
We don't. If they make it to the playoffs.
Decent year.
He's having a great year.
Are we discussing, like, can somebody go far in the playoffs or just making the playoffs?
I'm talking about what we've seen so far this year and what these guys have turned, in the first 8 weeks, and what we see that these players could be driving if they have the weapons around them. Now, if you were to ask me right now who the best quarterback in the NFC is right now,
it's Daniel Jones.
It's Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield has been the best quarterback and the most persistent quarterback in the NFC this year. So if he continues it, why wouldn't you go out there and spend for Cooper Kupp? You're right there. And Mike Evans comes back. Cooper Kupp and Mike Evans as your weapons. Forget it. And they have a good running game. And their offensive line is really, really good. I think they're top 5 right now. Are you kidding me?
Cooper
That
Kupp.
team. And the defense is sensational. They could win the Super Bowl this year. Yes, Tom Bowles, ladies and gentlemen, can win the Super Bowl.
Led by
Kupp also had
Levante
a
David
short-
playing linebacker. Nebraska.
Yes. Should be
Shout
a
out.
Hall of Famer, too. He's played really well for longevity-wise, too. But Cooper Kupp also had one of the most insane playoff runs for a wide receiver, too. So that's going to factor into that kind of thing for any playoff team that's going to look like it. And Keith is saying the Chicago Bears are doing a great job.
Yeah,
but they all
I like Chicago. I don't like Eberflus.
But also, Keith, look at who Chicago squeaked by. Besides the Panthers, who they blew out, good for them. They squeaked by the Tennessee Titans, a game that they should have lost. They didn't play well. They played well against the Texans. Okay, they beat the Rams when they were banged up, and they almost blew that game. Like, they're not exactly beating the greatest competition so far. So it's still, the jury's still out on them. Whereas these other 3 teams, the Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings, they've beaten a lot better competition.
All right, I got some fantasy questions for a friend of mine, Kevin. He's a financial executive. He's a financial guy. He plays a lot of fantasy, a financial advisor. Okay, so here's the question. DJ doesn't have time to find receivers with Thomas out. Is it worth to start Neighbors against the Pittsburgh Steelers? Speedy.
I have to see the rest of his team, but I'm very scared.
If it's
Jabba?
anybody but the Steelers, I'd be like, yeah, but oof, that's tough.
Well, yeah, I kind of go with, I need to know the rest of his roster, but because he's the number 1 target, the number 2 target, and number 3 target, if it's a PPR league, you start Neighbors.
Slam dunk, start Malik Neighbors. Slam dunk. I watched enough against the Jets. The Jets made a lot of mistakes. Route running by Garrett Wilson. I mean, if Garrett Wilson caught the ball 2 or 3 times, he scores at least 2 touchdowns. It was horrible the way he was locating the ball in the air. I would start Malik Neighbors this week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's going to see at least 15 times, see the ball 15 times, especially because he's the number 1 target. And Dable loves him. So I would absolutely check plus for Malik Neighbors. With Chris Godwin and Mike Evans out for Tampa Bay, which wide receiver would see more targets, McMillan or Shepard?
McMillan.
Shepard, if he's going to see targets, it's going to be short targets anyway.
Kate Otten.
That's also true. Yeah, tight end.
Okay. What did you say, Jabba?
McMillan.
First of all, I would never pick Shepard. Okay. I don't. That's one no. So Kevin, stay away from Shepard. 100% go after McMillan. If you have McMillan on your roster, start McMillan. Never even look at Shepard. I would drop Shepard. How's that? I would never start Shepard. So there are your answers. I would go absolutely start Malik Neighbors. There's no question. Like Mike said, he's going to see a lot of targets no matter what happens in the game. And no matter how bad the offensive line is, Malik Neighbors is a star. I think we've seen enough of him to know that he is. And he's going to see the ball. Dable likes to use it. Dable even said he might even use him in the backfield. So I wouldn't even be surprised if you see him in a hitch pass, using him in many different ways, short passes, slant passes, inside and out. I expect Malik Neighbors to play as much as he possibly can if he's 100% healthy. So go Malik Neighbors, McMillan. I'm sorry, not McMillan. McMillan, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yep. So there you go. I'm a little off today. By the way, I want to give a shout out to all the people that reached out to me, telling me good luck about my Echo. There was like 8 or 9 people that sent. I don't even know how some of these people found out that I was going for an Echo. I don't even know what is going on. I'll know tomorrow by the doctor. I might need a surgery. But I would like to thank everybody that reached out to me. I can't name all the names, and I don't want to, but you know who you are. Thank you for all the people that reached out to me and tell me good luck. I really appreciate all of you. So thank you. Bucs wide receivers. Here we go. NFL Network reports that Chris Godwin suffered a dislocated ankle on Monday Night Football and will likely miss the rest of the season. Reports say there is an outside chance he could come back if the Buccaneers reach the Super Bowl. Mike Evans also suffered a hamstring injury that will keep him out of at least a month of football. Keyshawn Johnson took shots at Todd Bowles for leaving Godwin in the game when the Buccaneers were down 10 with under 2 minutes left. Bowles defended himself and his decision, saying a quick score and then an onside kick recovery could have won us the game. Godwin was second in the NFL with 576 receiving yards, and Evans was tied for first with 6 receiving touchdowns. And I want to get Fish involved with this because I know he's been licking his lips wanting to get involved with the conversation. But I will say this. I know a lot of people sitting here and drafted Godwin in your fantasy. It's a shame what happened to Chris Godwin. But everybody that knows everything about Chris Godwin as a wide receiver, the guy never stays healthy. Go look. The last 3 seasons with the Buccaneers, 2 out of the 3, now he is going to miss the majority of the season. The guy never stays healthy. He is a great wide receiver. I think he's the best slot receiver in the league when he's 100% healthy. I don't think there's anybody better than him. But the problem is he never stays healthy. He gets these weird injuries too. Really weird injuries. So it's a shame what happened to Chris Godwin. As far as Mike Evans is concerned, this is why Cooper Kupp plays a big part in where the Buccaneers could head if they could just stay afloat. Cooper Kupp can keep them staying afloat for at least a month until Mike Evans comes back. Then you have 2 legitimate number ones, one big guy and the other guy that you can then move in the slot, move him on the outside, do so many things. What you've seen what the Rams do with him. Sean McVay is a mastermind of using Cooper Kupp in so many different dimensions of the offense. I think it's a slam dunk as far as I'm concerned with Todd Bowles and Keyshawn Johnson. Keyshawn Johnson, dude, start wearing more baggy shirts. You look fat as hell. I mean, seriously, take care of yourself. How old are you? 50, 51? You look like a horse's ass. You're on ESPN. You're on NFL Network. You're on this. You're on that. Fox Sports. I mean, you speak like you know everything. Dude, how many years were you really good in the NFL? 4? I mean, the Jets drafted you with the number 1 pick. The only reason why you were the number 1 pick is because Peyton Manning decided to play his senior year. I don't want to hear Keyshawn Johnson. Every time he speaks, he makes me sick. I remember what he said about Wayne Corbett, calling him a flashlight. Wayne Corbett is a million times better than you. And by the way, Wayne Corbett was never drafted. Why are you speaking? I'd rather listen to Lavernius Cole and Wayne Corbett's podcast than listen to you on the NFL Network. You're an idiot. And I don't even know why Todd Bowles even had to answer him. I have to give Todd Bowles a lot of credit for what he has turned into as a head coach in the NFL. He was horrible for the Jets. Absolutely horrible. Horrible. And look what he has transitioned into as a competent coach right now. And he found Baker Mayfield. He took a chance with Baker Mayfield with the GM over there. And look at the success they're having now without Tom Brady. It is sensational to watch right now what the Buccaneers are doing. I did not expect the Buccaneers to be where they are right now. I do believe the Buccaneers are a top 3 team in the NFC, and I wouldn't be surprised if they land Cooper Kupp, Mike Evans gets healthy, and could you imagine Chris Godwin comes back in the Super Bowl and you have 3 of those guys in the open field? Forget it. I take the Buccaneers against any AFC team if they have all 3 of those guys on the field. Yeah. I think it's unbelievable.
Yep. We were talking about Kupp being the dynamic playoff wide receiver too. Godwin, I think he didn't have to do much in the Super Bowl because the Bucs were blowing out the Chiefs already, but he was the best wide receiver they had in that Super Bowl run, consistency-wise. Like you said, one of the best slot, if not the best slot guys in the league. Great hands, good size for a guy that's a slot guy as well. So this is going to be a loss that, again, unless they trade for somebody like Cooper Kupp.
I mean, you could move Cooper Kupp right in there in the slot, and he's one of the better. He's the other good slot wide receiver you could put there. You don't lose anything if you get Cooper Kupp. You don't lose anything.
Correct. And we were talking about the 2 young guys that they have, Trey Palmer and Jalen McMillan. They're both good at stretching the field. So they don't even have to have Kupp try to be that deep guy to stretch the field right away, too, to keep him healthy. They can let him be that Chris Godwin role and just accelerate it a little more, even if once he gets that scheme down. And you were talking about Todd Bowles, too. No coach would pull their starters down 10 like that. Like Keyshawn Johnson, just because it happened, it's ridiculous to say the process would be. What happened if the Buccaneers scored and all of a sudden, the starters are out of the game? What are you going to say after that or something like that? Like, just because it happened does not make it a bad decision to keep the starters in the game. It's so stupid what Keyshawn Johnson's saying there. And I agree with you, Bowles. Like, we were thinking the Bucs are going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL last year.
Unbelievable.
Like 5-6 win team at best.
I'm shocked. I am so shocked the way the Buccaneers are playing. By the way, I want to give a shout out to the Browns. They finally drafted the right quarterback and they didn't keep him. So I applaud them. Finally, you drafted the right quarterback and he's no longer a part of your organization. Jabba, your thoughts?
They're a train wreck over there. I mean, obviously being in Cleveland and seeing the fans and whatever, and they're begging for him to be good, and it's just, they've got it. Didn't they even draft Manziel?
Yes, they did.
So yeah, I think it's
unfortunate situation.
Yeah, right. And I just think when you draft the right person, obviously it can build, but you also have to have pieces around it to help. And, sometimes, you get these Baker Mayfields of the world where, struggle a little bit. This game is a lot faster. And, it takes some adjustments, and we've seen that. But there's some guys that pick it up, but they have great surroundings. So I think it's a little bit of both. And, it'll be interesting to see what happens, at the deadline. And as you were talking about the Bucs and what Bulls and the GM. Oh, the GM just happens to be from Nebraska as well.
He loves his Nebraska.
Hey, don't think if we've got something going on that's going good, I'm not going to mention it.
The Buccaneers revolution from Nebraska. You got a lot of cows. That's all you got.
Fish, what you got?
Fish.
Hey, guys. It's good to hear from you. Good to see you, Mikey C. Hey, listen, Chris Godwin, I took him on our all-22 this draft league that we have with a bunch of the NFL experts that have been on the show. And I took him as an afterthought because, he's getting a little bit older, and all of a sudden he's the best receiver on my team. And I got a bunch of guys, and now he's out for the season. So, again, the season's not going great for me fantasy-wise. I think a lot of people are in that boat right now. This guy,
don't you dare. Don't you bring it up. Please, don't you dare. Go ahead.
I'll stay away. But Godwin does get, I don't know even if they get Kupp, Godwin's kind of the guy that he'll fight for the first down and be able to carry defenders a little bit more than Kupp would. And that they lose that a little bit, but you're absolutely right. Kupp does a lot of the same things if he's healthy that you would get out of Godwin from the same position, move him as a slot, get him open. It's just, you don't have the rapport that they've built with Mayfield, although the offseason working out. You don't have the practice reps together to have that timing together. So it's going to take a little while, and it's just not going to be as good as it was.
Cooper Kupp did play with Mayfield.
Well, for a short period of time that year, right?
He did.
You're
That's
right.
why I think it's a good fit. That's why I think it's
it's not a bad fit. It's just, look, it's not Godwin. Godwin was having an all-pro season when he went down. His PFF numbers were in the 90s, which is unheard of. He was dominating this year. He was the best slot in the league. And it was probably not even all that close at this point because of guys like Kupp being hurt. So, look, if they can get him and they still want to drive it, they have a weak division they can take. You right. You said it. The Rattlesnakes, Spencer Rattler, Errol, you really wanted him on the Jets. I mean, we were talking about it in the.
Yeah, right. I wanted him on my bench. I wanted to choke him. Yeah, I would never draft Spencer Rattler. Okay, I can't stand. If I actually was in a place and I saw Spencer Rattler, it would take a bunch of security guards from keeping me from jumping and choking that guy. I don't like I do not like that guy. I don't like his personality. If you go watch, guys, go back and go to QB1 on Netflix and watch that kid. Go watch how despicable him and his, I'm not going to say it, I'm not going to curse, his freaking father is. It's just so disrespectful. Both of them, they thought that he was like some Super Bowl champion. He couldn't even get through his high school year. This guy was one of the biggest top, quarterbacks in the country. And this guy, he was getting outplayed by his backup. So I don't want to hear about Spencer Rattler. He is an idiot. That's all I'm going to say about that.
That was being facetious, but
I know. I know you wanted to bring that up. I know.
I couldn't resist. He did look absolutely horrible last week. So I don't really see the Saints doing anything until Carr comes back. And even when he does come back, that's the story with Carr the last bunch of years. He looks great until he starts getting banged up. And then he's just not that same guy he was early in the season. And I do worry that the Saints are going down that same road that the Raiders went down for a bunch of years.
Well, there's a whole bunch of quarterbacks coming out in this draft, so somebody's going to get somebody.
There's two that is quality, and the rest of them is
Who?
eh.
I'm just wondering who.
What do you mean who?
Who do you think?
Texas is what was the kid?
Quentin Ewers.
Quentin Ewers, who's not having. Obviously, he's injury prone, but he's good. And Shedeur Sanders.
I'm just
and
asking,
Shedeur Sanders.
Isn't he getting benched for Manning, the Manning kid?
He did last.
Yeah, he got. Yes, he did
I
last
thought moving forward. That's what I thought.
Well, Manning.
No, they didn't. No, they said Ewers will start this week.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Manning.
I'm just asking. You don't think the kid Cam Ward from Miami's pretty good?
Not for the NFL.
And Milroe from Alabama. I'm just asking.
He's streaky.
I don't trust Alabama quarterbacks, and I don't trust.
Well,
Miami
I agree on the
quarterbacks.
Alabama thing, but this could be the first kid in a long time coming out of the U that actually be proven for the NFL because it's been a while since they had anybody, worthy come out of the U.
If his name isn't Daniel Jones, I'll take him.
Oh,
Daniel's.
I'm done with you, Giant fans. Anyways, John,
I don't know why they didn't leave him like wherever he's left. Like just, I have no idea. The guy should have never been drafted.
Jabba, we got our first guest. We're going to go to a quick break. I hope you're ready. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, he's been on our show before. He's a real estate agent. He's doing wonders over there in Arizona, and we love him. It's Arizona, right?
Yep, and he's the
Yeah.
goalie coach at Arizona State.
That's right. Don't worry. I got it. I got it.
He's the assistant.
Yes, the assistant. We will
credit.
be talking to former Canucks, Hurricanes, Flames, and Devils goaltender Eddie Lack. But first, our Sports Minute with Tommy Scoops.
This is the Sports Loudmouth Sports Minute
Are you ready to get loud?
with Tommy Scoops.
What is up, folks? It is that time for the Loudmouth Sports Minute with me, Tommy Scoops, and in this NFL heavy report, starting off with the Titans as QB Will Levis was actually limited today in practice as the team's QB was dealing with a shoulder injury. Head coach Brian Callahan says that Levis is likely not to play this week, while the team also said that wide receiver Calvin Ridley also did not practice today. In other NFL news, the 49ers defensive end Nick Bosa did not practice today as well, as Bosa is currently nursing an elbow injury, and he is currently nursing an elbow injury and will be missing the 49ers practice. Lastly, the Cardinals are activating offensive line Christian Jones off of IR as the rookie fifth rounder actually injured his ankle in the preseason. Now will be beginning practicing with his team. Now it's time for Scoops and Scores. Where currently over in the NBA, the Nets and Hawks are currently actually tied at 48 points in the second quarter, with the Pistons currently holding a 68-63 lead over the Pacers. The Heat have a 51-49 lead over the Magic, while the Bucks currently have a 51-39 lead over the 76ers. The Cavaliers have a 49-43 lead over the Raptors, while the Rockets have a 23-21 lead over the Hornets. The Bulls and Pelicans are currently beginning to tip off right now, while they both have 0 on the board. That is currently all the time I have for you guys. I'm going to kick it back to the boys for the continuation of the Sports Loudmouth.
This is the Sports Loudmouth.
Baby time.
Goodbye. Not me. Force milk out of somebody's body.
Andre Drummond is horrible looking with that mustache and goatee. He looks horrible with that. I just want to let everybody know. If you're watching this basketball game, that's the thing that stands out to me. Nothing else stands out to this boring game, Milwaukee and 76ers, but Andre Drummond's ugly look. 631-672-3108 is the number to call. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Mr. Speedy Petey, and you know him as a Yankee relief pitcher, Mr. Jabba Chamberlain, our special guest in the studio, my old partner and a good friend, Mikey C. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all those shows throughout the week, including the Loudmouth with me and Speedy Petey and Jabba Chamberlain every single Mondays and Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and check out our local listings for all our shows is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Ladies and gentlemen, you know him as the Lackmeister. We know him as Eddie Lack. What's up, Eddie?
What's up, boys? How are you?
You know, every time I see you, every time we interview you, you're in your car. I mean, what are you, jumping from one house to the other?
That is pretty much what I'm doing. This is what my job is now. I'm just from house to house, and I got just get done with the showing, and I got one more house to check up on my project before I get to go home. So, yeah.
So what is it? What is it like? Okay, you're a former NHL goaltender, and you're hanging out. You're going out to one of those houses, and they're asking you, what made you become, a real estate agent? You'd be like, well, after my career, and they'd be like, what did you used to do? Oh, I was just an NHL goaltender. How does that work, man? Do you sign any autographs when you're selling your house?
No, it's kind of like that, and I just want their signatures on the purchase contract, right? That's all I want. So no, it's I always say, if I was better at stopping pucks, I wouldn't have to be here, but yeah, now I'm in the rat race with everyone else.
Well, hold on one second. You were playing in the NHL for at least 5 years. So to say that if you were good at stopping pucks, you were pretty damn good, because how many goalies make it to the NHL? So you had to be somewhat good, Eddie. So you're selling yourself, man. You're selling yourself. I'm trying to help you here. As everybody knows, we're talking.
But I'm Swedish, I'm a humble.
Listen, Eddie, I had faith in you in
Swedish
Vancouver.
guy,
I had faith in you in Vancouver, and then I have no idea what happened.
Yeah, exactly. That is pretty much where everyone is. Like, I had 2 good years in Vancouver, and then I went to Carolina when no one watched the Hurricanes, because it was like a young rebuild and everything, right? And then I bounced around a little bit between Calgary and Jersey before I retired.
Speaking of Swedish goaltenders, there's one that's pretty good from Sweden that happened to be Henrik Lundqvist.
Oh, the Queen?
Yeah, he was pretty good. Even just to get there, it's remarkable.
Me and Hank won a world championship together for Sweden, so that was fun.
He lived right above me in the city.
Oh yeah? Oh, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
So we got to know each other pretty well.
Did you share each other's hats? I mean, because he wears some of the ugliest hats I've ever seen.
First of all, why would he ever wear a hat? His hair is the greatest hair ever. We would go up. His hair would be perfectly
makes
coiffed.
advertisement for Head and Shoulders.
It's unbelievable.
I thought that was Troy Polamalu. But
Him too.
He's got a quaff, let me tell you. I have that. By the way, you could go and check out Henrik Lundqvist's documentary. It's a pretty good documentary about, his heart surgery and everything, about, what happened to him. And it is sensational. I am not a Ranger fan, but I can't take away the greatness of what Henrik Lundqvist was as a goaltender in the NHL. One of the greatest goaltenders of this era and one of the greatest goaltenders of all time. So there's no question that he was. But let's get into it, Eddie. I mean, the season starts. I mean, who scares you right now in the NHL? What team right now, as far as what you have watched so far this season, early this season, you think has a chance to win a Stanley Cup?
I mean, so far, the only undefeated team is the Winnipeg Jets, right? I mean, they're looking really good. Are they looking a little bit too good, a little bit too early? Probably. Like, do I think they're going to be up there when it's time to crown the champions? I don't think so. Other than that, I mean, you look at like Edmonton and Colorado, both those teams had slow starts and everything, right? But they still have all the pieces, right? And if they can just put it together, most people have Edmonton, right, as their Stanley Cup favorite, and I would have to agree with that. I think that the Rangers are looking good. I think the Devils are looking good as well. They have a new coach with a new system, but I thought that their offseason was phenomenal with the players that they traded for and signed. So those are the teams that I think look best so far.
So a lot has been made about the Igor Shesterkin contract situation. He wants $12 million a year. And we've seen a lot of goaltenders, once they get the double digits, they have injury issues. If you were the Rangers, would you pay him that or would you trade him?
I mean, I saw an interview with Rupp the other day, and he said I would pay him 11.5, but that's it. And that's kind of where I am. Like, I mean, is he worth it? Like, probably, yes. I mean, he's showed it throughout his career and everything here that, like, he should be the highest paid goalie and everything, right? But as a goalie, don't you want your team to have a little bit of extra money to build a team around you too? And that team is gonna make you look better too, right? So I mean, I don't think I would give him 12, but if that's what it takes, like, sure. I mean, they're not gonna find a better goalie out there, and like, do you trade the best goalie in the league? Like, no. Like, you make it work somehow. But if I was him, I mean, I would take a little bit less to make sure that they're competitive too, because those guys in front of you is like what gonna make you look good as well, you know?
Java, you're muted. Go ahead, Java.
Oh, I thought you guys were going to jump in. No, I think when you got somebody to protect you and you know going into the game, it's kind of the Tom Brady effect. He took less money to have the guys make sure to cover his butt, and I think that you make a great point in that fact. You take a little less because when you got guys in front of you laying out and taking one off the ribs, and then you just got to buy dinner that night. So it's still
Yep.
all good, but yeah, I think that's a huge aspect of it. Obviously, he should be, the highest paid, but I think also too he understands how important it is to have good defensemen and guys that can score goals and keep them, with the ability to win.
Java, you mentioned dinner. Eddie Lack is the biggest NHL taco enthusiast.
That's right, he is.
Don't hate it.
Well, but Eddie, you have to remember that Jabba is living in Nebraska, so I don't know how good the tacos are over there. I don't think they're New York style. That's for damn sure.
Probably not very good. Yeah.
We got nothing. We've got a couple of good things, but no,
What is the good
burger?
food in Nebraska?
corn. I mean,
You're
it really is
selling
good.
me on it. God, I want to go visit now.
Oh, and then Husker football. It's fun with 90,000 people screaming.
Yep.
Are they all eating corn?
Well, it's at tailgates. You better believe it.
Yeah, that's inevitable.
And you can buy it. You can buy it like the farmers come into the gas stations and they sell it out the back of their truck with like watermelon, tomatoes. It's great. I'm really selling us, right? I'm selling it right now.
Yeah, I want to go to
Station
Nebraska.
tomatoes.
Place to go.
Gas station tomatoes. I'm sold.
Hey, it's from a farm. They just sell it out of their truck. They just park in the corner.
Java, you have to make sure there's some empty houses for Eddie to be able to negotiate people to come to Nebraska. You get some real
I
estate.
can do that. The housing market here is crazy.
Really?
Oh, we have neighborhoods going up houses going up left and right. It's nuts.
Eddie, you got to go over there and talk to Java. He'll hook you up.
I love it. I get my license over there.
Oh yeah, probably doesn't transfer.
I can see Java in a cornfield. He's like, "Yo, Eddie, come over here. I want to show you the biggest effing corn I've seen over here." I can see. Look at this.
We'll do like the coolest Instagram video, just you and I, to like sell Nebraska in the cornfields.
Oh, we could definitely do. I know a bunch of people selling them too, so we could make it happen.
We'll have like a slow-mo video running through the cornfield with like a Celine Dion song playing or something. Like, yeah, that'd be great.
Perfect. What's my commission?
I'll give you a 25% referral fee. That'd be great.
Okay, I'll take it.
We are talking to former Canucks, Hurricanes, Flames, and Devils goaltender Eddie Lack. Eddie Lack is now a real estate agent and a goalie coach right now in Arizona. What's going on this year? I mean, where is your team at? Are they a championship contender?
This is actually the first year that I'm not doing it because I'm so busy with everything else. So,
come on, Eddie. What's going on?
But I went to the home opener. I still talk to all the guys on the team and everything. So they're 2-1-2, I think, to start the season. So a decent start. They're playing really good teams this year, right? So it's fun to see. What else can I say? We have this Potter kid, which is predicted to go really, really high in the draft. We got some good goaltending, and now when we don't have the Coyotes in town anymore, ASU hockey is the biggest ticket in town, right? The barn is packed every night, and yeah, it's a great atmosphere.
Yeah,
Do you,
it's a barn.
do you like the new Utah logo?
Not really.
Be honest now,
I
Eddie. Be honest now.
I I like think that it's a little bit too basic for me. I think they could have gone like with the Jedi or something and made like a really cool one. But yeah, the Utah Hockey Club like it works. But I think they're gonna, and I hope they're gonna develop it a little bit moving forward.
Eddie, there's a fan that has a question for you, and
Okay.
he asked me to ask you. He said, "Ask Eddie. Give your thoughts, Eddie, on Jacob Trouba as the Rangers captain."
I know they were trying to trade him and everything this summer, but I also know that he played like extremely hurt and everything by the end of last year. I mean, I see no point in switching your captain up and everything. Do I think that he is like the most gentleman captain out there? No, he freaking kills guys on the ice like every single night. But that's kind of his role, and like he embraces it, and he does it well. So I don't see like any issues with it.
Eddie, I got a question. So we had a kid drafted from Lincoln, Rutger McGorty. The Jets drafted him, and then he got traded to Pittsburgh and signed a 3-year entry level deal. What does that actually mean as far as like contractually wise, and how it works as an entry level deal?
So an entry level deal in the NHL is two-way deal. So if you get to play in the minors, you have a minor league salary, which I don't know exactly where it's at now. Where I played, it was like 75K a year, I think. And if you play in the NHL, you get an NHL salary, which is between league minimum, which is like 750 now, up to I think the max on an entry level deal that you can get before bonuses is 1,200,000 or something. I believe that it is, and then the guys that play a lot and they score a lot of points, like you obviously have like a lot of bonuses and everything that you can hit, but that is like the max base salary that you can make in the NHL. But if you play in the minors, you make like 1/10 of that.
Okay.
So my last question, Eddie, a very big tragedy happened at the start of the year with Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew as well. I know you played with him briefly in Calgary. You played against him in Vancouver. What was he like on and off the ice?
I mean, it's like still hard for me to wrap my head around it. I feel like we lived in the same building in Calgary, and we sat next to each other in like the locker room and everything. I was just there for like a short time, but I just like got to know what an amazing guy he is, and like always a smile on his face, and like just like happy to be there, you know, and just like such a tragic event, and to see everything like with his kids to grow up without a dad, and like his wife is pregnant with their third and everything. I mean, it's heartbreaking, and I don't really know like what else to like say, but like he was one of my favorite guys that I ever played with, even though it was really short.
Eddie, I know that's it's horrible losing a friend, a person that you looked up to, a person that you respect more than anything. So I know what it's like to lose a friend. I lost a friend on a motorcycle. I was like 25 feet in front of me, and somebody back-ended him and ran over his head, and it was a horrible thing to watch, and to see something like that, and to lose somebody close like that, and you built a relationship and good rapport with it's horrible, especially a drunk driver who just ran him and his brother over. It was just a horrible story. It really is. And I think it was on a bicycle too. It wasn't even on a motorcycle.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, like, he worked his whole life to get up to this point, and he finally made it, and like he had his family and everything, and like to not be able to like experience his like kids growing up and everything, and his kids to grow up without a dad and everything. I mean, it's I like still have a hard time to wrap my head around it, I feel like.
Well, Eddie, we really appreciate the time as always. Keep selling those houses, baby. And if you want to go to the cornfields, my brother.
There we go. I love it.
That's perfect.
Beautiful.
By the way, that's Fish. That's our executive producer doing.
Fish, good job.
But Eddie, we really appreciate the time, man. Keep up the good work, man. And we'll talk to you soon, buddy. Keep your head up.
Thank you. We'll talk soon, guys. Bye.
Eddie Lack, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic personality and great Johnny Gaudreau story. Johnny Gaudreau, may he rest in peace, him and his brother. I mean, a tragic story in the summertime. They went home to New Jersey to be there for their sister. She was getting married, and the day before she was getting married, a drunk driver hit them, ran them over, and there she went. I mean, that's enough. That's enough to the story that and this guy is going to go to jail for a very long time. That's murder. That's not even manslaughter. That's murder. And it's just a horrible story. Johnny is right now, I think his wife is 8 months pregnant. She's due for her third kid. And Matt, right? His name's Matt. Matthew. Matt had 3 kids, I think 3 kids of his own. So, and Matthew was, I think, younger than Johnny.
He was, yeah.
So,
29, I think.
Yeah, and Johnny was 31. So Johnny was just in his like second or third year in his big contract, that big contract that he got, and never got a chance to really live his life. So the Gaudreau family, my shout out again goes to the Gaudreau family and Johnny and Matthew. May they rest in peace. Oh man, that was hard. I'm just watching Eddie Lack and seeing his face. Oh man, it's horrible. I mean, I just shows you how close he was with Johnny Gaudreau. I mean, I know what it's like to lose a friend, a very close friend like that, and to see somebody just, he's here one day and gone the next. It's just a horrible, horrible thing. I saw my father pass away. I mean, Jabba, we were talking about it today. I mean, I was there when my father was trying to, they were trying to revive my father when he was having a massive heart attack. So I know what it's like to see somebody that you love and they're here today and gone tomorrow. Anyways, when we come back, ladies, I'm going to start crying. I don't want to. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we will have our very special guest. We've never had him on the show. Very happy to have him. We will be talking to Mets PA announcer Colin Cosell. But first, our Sports Minute with Tommy Scoops.
This is the Sports Loudmouth Sports Minute.
Are you ready to get loud?
With Tommy Scoops.
It is the top of the hour, and I am back with another Sports Minute. As over in the NFL, the Saints running back Alvin Kamara announced that he has actually been playing the last 2 games with a broken hand. Kamara revealed that he's been playing with a broken hand since week 5 against the Chiefs, while also playing with broken ribs and a hip pointer injury this season. In other NFL news, 49ers wide receiver Deebo Samuel could potentially play this Sunday versus the Cowboys, as Samuel, who was actually hospitalized earlier this week with pneumonia, Coach Kyle Shanahan says that they are not ruling out Samuel for the Cowboys. Lastly, over in the NBA, Bulls point guard Lonzo Ball scores his first points in over 2 years. Ball, who has not played since January of 2022, hits his first three-pointer in over 1,000 days against his former team, the New Orleans Pelicans. Now it's time for Scoops to Scores. We're over in the NBA. The Nets have a 61-59 lead over the Hawks as the Pistons hold a 90-83 lead over the Pacers. Right now, the Magic are currently leading against the Heat 58-53 at halftime, while the Bucs currently have a 58-47 lead over the 76ers at halftime. The Cavaliers currently have a 69-49 lead over the Raptors at halftime, while the Rockets have a 50-37 lead over the Hornets. That is currently all the time I have for you guys right now. I'm going to kick it back to the boys for their next guest on the Sports Loudmouth.
This is the Sports Loudmouth.
Sexual crap out of a jar. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy, Petey, and Mr. Jabba Chamberlain. And our special guest in the studio, my pal, my old partner, Mr. Mikey C. Remember, you can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the Loudmouth with me and Speedy Petey every single Mondays and Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and check out our local listings for all our shows is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. I mean, I'm still kind of shaken up with the whole Johnny Gaudreau story. I mean, that's just, it's horrible. Speedy, why'd you bring that up? You just made the
He played with him.
You made the show so sour. I'm sad. All right.
Yeah, I saw him get choked up. I actually had a question I wanted to ask him. I said, forget it. I'm not even going to ask.
I mean, that's horrible. I didn't even want to. Anyway, I don't want to be sad. This guy has never been on the show. We got to be alive for a very special guest. We are now talking to Mets PA announcer Colin Cosell. Colin, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, gentlemen? How are we?
We are good, man. You should be very, very happy. The Mets go to the NLCS. The Mets made a run. They might get Juan Soto next year. They might get Corbin Burns. I mean, who's better than you? And guess what? Your owner actually spent some money.
Yeah, no, it was very, very unexpected. It was a wonderful surprise. I kind of the way I've kind of encapsulated it is, the difference between Memorial Day to Labor Day in what our season was like. I mean, I was there in the booth when we hit rock bottom, when Jorge Lopez threw his glove over the netting, and it just seemed like the bottom had fallen out, and we knew what the next 4 months were going to be like. But then Francisco Lindor thought otherwise. And wow, you had that readily available. We didn't even rehearse
producer. That's our executive producer. He's the best.
That's really impressive. But yeah, so it was a wild ride. Totally unexpected. And, however far we got was however much joy it was going to bring us. And getting to the NLCS was just beyond anyone's expectations. And to be one of the final three teams still playing baseball, to be 6 wins away from a world championship was leaps and bounds beyond what we expected. So, it was one of those things where it was just like, you're sad to see it end, but also it's just like, wow, what a season. And I see that across the Mets universe, which is universally, pretty much people are like, the Mets were waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I think that was all of August and September. But the other shoe didn't drop. And I feel like there's a culture change. There's a vibe change. And, as you alluded to, our owner is not afraid to spend. David Stearns is a genius. He put together a ragtag group of people who are trying to reinvent themselves around a group of people who are already cemented as the cornerstone of the Mets' future, and it worked. And it was just an incredible season to be a part of. So yeah, I feel I'm fine with it.
What energy do you think Iglesias brought in with the? With his song and how, he hasn't played in the big leagues in a while. And I was fortunate enough to play with him in Detroit. And he always had that energy. And the one thing I loved about him is he never took a playoff. He always gave you a hard 90 and made it tough on the defense. What do you think leadership from his end and bringing him when you did it spark any as? I mean, the concert was dope. I don't care what anybody says. When he did
100%.
the concert, that was awesome.
Yeah.
So do you think that he helped get that team over the hump in some way, shape, or form?
I think it was this beautiful amalgamation in the month of June. It started with Lindor pulling the team aside, and well, let me backtrack. To your point, it started with us signing him, and I got an email notification from the organization saying, "Hey, we just signed Jose Iglesias. This guy hasn't played Major League Baseball in 2020 since 2022. He's going to be on the team. We're adding depth." Okay, cool. I thought nothing of it. I immediately was just like, I wonder if he's related to Julio Iglesias. Like, that's where my mind goes. And then lo and behold, he is a pop star in his own right. So I wasn't too far off. But then Lindor, pulls everyone in, players only. It's like, guys, let's have fun doing what we do. And also let's hold each other accountable. And I think that's a very important dichotomy that really kind of got everyone fired up. But then when they started using Iglesias, he was getting good at bats. And I think it was after like 40 at bats, he was batting like in the high 300s. And I turned to my spotter, Nick, and I was like, he's really kind of showing something. Like there's some grit there. And it's all part of that team that I, spoke about before about, David Stern's bringing in people who are trying to reinvent themselves and reinvigorate their careers. And he was one of them. And he just went in there fearless, nothing left to lose. And also just has this incredible personality. It's infectious. And then, post meeting, then the Grimace thing happened. I had the honor and privilege of announcing Grimace up to throw that pitch. And we were like, okay, why is this happening? It's his 50th birthday. Why do we care? It's sponsorship. Okay, that's fine. And then he was like bouncing around the ballpark and we're like, okay, this is fun. And then we had him like sneaking in behind in plain sight of the pitcher, the opposing pitcher. And he would just like dip in and start waving. And it was hilarious. And the fans caught on to it. And that same game, Iglesias had, a couple big hits as well. We won 10-4 against the Marlins. That was June 12th. And then from there, behind the scenes, what the fans didn't quite realize, beyond the fact that it was Lindor's meeting much more than it was Grimace, was that Iglesias had this song that was infectious and it was positive. And, the entire thing, like the song starts like, I don't need anything if I'm not happy. Those are the opening lyrics. And it was just like, okay, cool. And then of all people on the team to latch onto, it was JD Martinez. And he was just like, this is my jam. Guys need to hear this. And then it became a whole thing and there was a dance behind it. And then it organically bled into the fans. And then it became the home run song. And then J-Mac started making those signs. And then like, it all happened very organically. But I will say that having someone like Iglesias on the team and what he added in personality, but also in production, was huge. I mean, there were so many moving parts to your point, Jabba, but he was very quietly a big part of that. And I really hope they re-sign him because, you need that kind of heart and soul role player and he can totally do it. The dude was batting 300 all season long.
So you started in 2018 when the Wilpons were still owning the team, and now obviously Steve Cohen since 2020, bringing a different kind of more like family-friendly transformation. The team culture, like you're saying, very different. So what are some of the differences in those experiences? Maybe some of the other experiences, even in their bad seasons, that were fun for you?
It was just a very different vibe. I owe a debt of gratitude to the Wilpons for bringing me on. It was not easy for me. It was not an easy transition for the fans either. Alex Anthony, my predecessor, had been there for over a decade and a half, and he was the voice that carried them from Shea Stadium to Citi Field. So, for me, it was very, just kind of keep quiet, stay positive, do your thing, whatever. But it was a very, it was a very different approach with the Wilpons. It was very, buttoned up. Whereas Steve came in and he's like, yeah, I'm a billionaire, but I'm a self-made billionaire. And I'm also a diehard fan. And I want to bring in championship upon championship. Like that's going to be my legacy. It's not going to be .72. It's not going to be hedge funds. It's going to be the New York Mets. And he started, building up the the attention to the past, and getting the Tom Seaver statue and starting to retire numbers and bringing back Old Timers Day. But for the staff as well, it was just a lighter mood. Again, with no disrespect to the Wilpons, and Fred Wilpon was a dear friend of my grandfather's, and so he wrote one of the sweetest letters when my grandfather passed to our family. And so, I will always hold them in the highest regard. However, when Steve Cohen came in, it was just different. It was lighter. It was like, okay, let's have fun. It was kind of that, that old MLB ad campaign they had, like just, let the kids play. And that's kind of what he brought with him. Granted, it kind of took a sour turn after last year when there was a bunch of money spent and nothing to show for it. But it was also kind of like, okay, grin and bear it, just bear with us as we figure this out, because he's never owned a team before. We're going to get through this together, and we're going to make sure we have everything we need to be successful, not just now, but for years to come. And so it has been a much lighter mood, throughout the organization, but also a lot more open to creativity, a lot more open to making it fan centric. And this season was huge in terms of being fan centric. You guys have just an unbelievable production team, on the fly. By the way, I full disclosure, I'm coming off of like 2 consecutive months of like nonstop action between my like daily life, having an 18-month-old, and the Mets. And I'm dealing with a cold where I was just like, I don't know if I turned to my wife. I was like, I don't know if I could do this. She's just like,
Come on, Colin, stop.
I'm like, dude, I am dying right now. I drank an emergency, and to back it up, I've got a cocktail. So I'm just trying to like make sure everything works out here. But yeah, I'm truly impressed by what you guys are pulling together right there. I'm kind of blown away. This is fun. Thanks for having me, man.
We are talking to Mets PA announcer Colin Cosell. And by the way, Colin, we've been following each other on Twitter for a while. And you're a 3-time Emmy Award winner. Everything that you've done, and again, it's kind of special because you're the grandson of Howard Cosell. He's one of the greatest broadcasters. He was the face of broadcasting for so many years. You can ask many different people, including Muhammad Ali, who's now gone, by the way, but he knew Muhammad Ali pretty well. What is it like being the grandson of the great Howard Cosell?
It's great, because the thing is, he's the man who put me in front of a microphone when I was 5 years old. Actually, technically when I was 3 years old, but I don't remember it as well. And I have a picture of it. I'm glad you guys don't have it, because I'm sure you're having it right now. I was at a wedding.
Getting looked up right now.
You can find it on my Facebook. Actually, it's my cover photo. It's a picture of my grandfather holding me with a cigar perilously close to my throat, I will have you know, with me reaching for a microphone. And that picture kind of encapsulates everything about his influence on me. When I was 5, I sat on his lap and I watched him do his radio show from his house in the Hamptons. He had a live line to WABC radio. And I saw this microphone with these headphones. And I was like, what's this all about? And he was like, my grandmother's like, come and check it out. And so I did my first air check, so to speak, with his producer, Eddie. And I was just like, whatever this witchcraft is, I am on board. Now, meanwhile, my grandfather had been a lawyer until he was in his late 30s, and then decided, hey, I'm going to become a sports broadcaster. And my grandmother stood by him the entire way, and he had to go through absolute hell to finally get to where he was. But his first big break was in 1962. There it is. You guys did it. You are so good. Look at that. Look at how perilously close that burning ember is to my esophagus. My bread and butter is about to be burnt before I can even use it.
He got Jabba happy. Look at the smile on his face.
That's great. I mean, the epitome of what a relationship is, and how deep, and just the smile on both of your faces, and like just being a sports fan and getting the opportunity to talk to you and have you share some memories. Is I was gonna ask the asterisk question because I was on your website earlier, and I was like, okay, ask when you were 5, and so I was gonna ask that anyways, but you kind of covered it. So
That's what we do in the Cosells. We're reporters by trade. We make sure that every question is covered and you don't have to do anything. But Jabba, by the way, it is a pleasure to be chatting with you as well. And my grandfather was also dear friends with George Steinbrenner. We kind of lived in a split household where it was just like go New York. Leaned the Mets because '86 was the first New York championship I experienced. But with those midges, man, I felt for you. I was just like, damn it, that's just not fair. So just wanted to throw that out there.
We can say it's something we experienced. We've seen bees, we've seen squirrels, we've seen mascots snap their ankle on four-wheelers. Like, glad to be part of the weird stuff that's happened in the game of baseball, and I get reminded of it all the time. So
I trust me. I get it with the Cosell thing. But what I was going to say was because my background was in theater, in comedy, in voiceovers. I did news radio and local sports broadcasting and everything. But the one parallel my grandfather and I do have, because he was a lawyer and a genius, and I'm just a goofball who loves microphones. In 1962, he got his first big break as a beat reporter for this brand new team in Major League Baseball called the New York Mets. And 56 years later, I got my first big break as an announcer for the very same team. So that's where it all kind of like came around full circle, and where I kind of feel like my grandfather's always on my shoulder. So, but at the end of the day, when people bring him up, it's a source of great pride. You know, it's not everyone gets to say your grandfather is the greatest sports broadcaster of all time. No bias, at all.
He is, and nobody's going to take that away.
You know, every December 8th, I get a bunch of people reaching out to me and being like, your grandfather told me that John Lennon died. And I turn back to them and I'm like, I hope you also realize that he was telling the world that one of his friends passed away. You know, like they were very, very close friends, completely like, you know, there's no reason they would have ever been friends, but they were. And then the best part about all of it is I do the best imitation of my grandfather of anyone. So, you know, as soon as is that your, okay.
He's asking you to do it.
You can't say it.
All right. You know what, Jabba, let's bring it full circle. There has never been a greater abomination than Jabba Chamberlain, surrounded by midgets trying to throw a pitch through a veritable swarm. That is unconscionable. They should call the game, get themselves some bug spray, and give the man a chance to pitch.
Very good.
That was great.
That does sound like him. That's pretty.
And that's me with a cold. I'm like, this is me on like 50%. I'm doing my best. I drank an emergency. I was just like, I gotta buck up for this. And then I saw what your background was, and I have the same background. I'm like, oh, for Christ's sake. And then I saw he's got a Rangers hat. I'm like, I'm wearing a Rangers jersey. Like, this is just, I feel like such a sham.
Just so you know, Colin, before I came into the studio, I'm sitting here and Speedy, his hair is like, he looks like a hick. Okay. This guy hasn't cut his hair in like 3 months.
It looks like his hat got ran over before he put it on.
Because you know why? Because on the top of that's all his hair. It's like growing. It looks like a mushroom coming out of his hat.
It looks like a hat that comes out of a hockey player's bag. I was a hockey goalie. By the way, shout out to Eddie Lack. That dude back in 2015 helped me win my fantasy hockey league.
That's what I'm saying.
I picked him up in January of 2015. And he went on a hot streak, and he helped me win my my league. So Eddie Lack, if you're still listening, or if you're selling a house right now, whatever you're doing, thank you.
Eddie's a good friend of the show, and Eddie loves coming on the show because we have a lot of fun with him. Me and Speedy. Last time he was on the show, I'm not going to say it. If you watch the other show, I did something crazy, and he couldn't stop laughing. He almost fell off. He almost stopped driving because he almost threw up. So it was pretty funny. But nevertheless, it's so funny. We've never had you on the show. And a good friend and a very close friend who actually knows you very, very well, and you know him, Anthony Andriosi. You know who he is?
Yeah.
Yeah, Anthony's a good friend of mine. Now,
no kidding.
Anthony's a very close friend of mine, and Anthony told me some stories about you, and said that, you're one of the most down-to-earth people he's ever met. And Anthony obviously lives in Queens. He's now, he's running his own mixed martial arts corporation. I don't know if you know this. He's doing some big things right now. And
I actually DJ'd a couple of his events, really going out there and helping him out at some of his events. But how do you guys know each other? Tell us a little quick story about how you met Anthony.
So, this is really funny. So I had been working for a local network called MSG Varsity. We covered high school sports and the high school experience in the tri-state area. That's where I won my Emmys. And that's kind of where I cut my teeth as a sports broadcaster and producer and narrator and all these different things. And the network just abruptly, that also Steve Gelbs, who's the sideline reporter for SNY, we used to broadcast together, ironically enough. And then he moved on to bigger and better things. Meanwhile, I thought, with 3 Emmys and like all these things on my resume, I was going to make it. I was going to get hired. And alas, that was not meant to be. All these other networks were hiring kids out of Syracuse, and they're like, well, they're young and cheap and safe. And I'm like, what do you mean safe? They're like, your last name's Cosell. We know what safe means. I'm like, all right, that's fair. So I was kind of looking for work, and I'm an avid dart player. I'm heavily into darts. And I was playing for my buddy's bar in Astoria, Queens, 2 blocks away from where I was living at the time. And one night he sent me a text, and he's like, hey, can you come bartend for me tonight? I'm really shorthanded. And I was like, sure. And he was like, you bartended before? And I was like, yeah, of course I have. But here's the thing. No, I hadn't. So I was just like, fake it till you make it. We're going to get through this. So I went and I bartended for him. Long story, even longer. I built up a really great crowd there, got poached by another bar that a friend of mine owned that was a darts bar in Lower Manhattan in the East Village on the corner of 13th and Avenue A, and started working for them on Friday nights. And that Friday night was like enough money to like pay rent and so on. Ended up becoming a manager there. So through this bar, I met, now I'll include Anthony in this as well, 2 of the most important people, and then Anthony, that I've ever met in my life. One was a server they had just hired, who was an actress who had just moved to the city. And so a lot of these people, they end up getting national tours, and they go across the country and they do whatever. That person they hired is now my wife, and her name is Julia. She is the mother of our beautiful, almost 19-month-old daughter, Eloise. And the other person was a regular who had just started at the New York Mets as the head of he was the executive producer of like in-game marketing promotions and like events and stuff. We became good friends, and I told him about my pedigree, and I was like, if you ever hear of a job, let me know. Whatever, it's who you know, not what you know. He's the person who ended up telling me the Mets were looking for a PA announcer. He said, give me your demo tape. I'll put it in the right hands, and then it's a blind audition. Doesn't matter who you are, what you've done. They're doing this blindly. So those are the first 2, my wife and the man who ended up becoming my boss. And then the third one was my first hire, Anthony Andriossi. We hired him as a bartender. My boss at the time, the owner of the bar, Paul, who's a proper Irishman, was just like, what have you done? Look at him. He's massive. You suppose he should be a bouncer, not a bartender. And I was just like, trust me, Paul, he's going to be just fine. He actually, I think for years thereafter, ended up working for Paul's actual like company that makes him money, not in bartending. But yeah, that's how I know Anthony. I hired him to be a bartender.
See this? It goes around in a circle. It's a circle.
Well, and the best part is he bullied me into it. He was just, it was like Jedi mind tricks, and he was bigger than me, and he worked in MMA, and he was just like, no, I'm the right guy for the job. And I was just like, you are the right guy for the job. And it was just like, and everyone looked at me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. We'll put him on the slow shifts. Don't leave me alone. But yeah, Anthony, gem of a human being. Absolutely love him.
He's listening right now. He's loving it. He's loving it. I'm sure he is.
Colin, you mentioned Jedi mind tricks. The last when we had Jabba on the show about 3 months ago as a guest, Errol tried to get him to see if he ever saw Star Wars, and he never did. Yet his name is Jabba.
Here's the crazy story about me and Jabba. Just Jabba's been on the show twice, and when we had Jabba on the second time, I said, Jabba, where did you get your name? And he says, I said, I know how you got your name. You got it from Jabba the Hutt. He looked at me. He's like, who the hell is Jabba the Hutt? I said, you never seen Star Wars? And he's like, no, I've never seen. I've heard of it. I've never seen it. So I said, hey, Jabba, I tell you what. I said, I'll pay I'll pay for wherever you can get it. The Prime, wherever you get it, I'll pay for it. I'll cash app it to you. And you have to watch all 3 of these episodes. He told me he watched the first episode all the way through. He got to the second one and he says, F this. I'm not watching any more of this crap.
He
so
didn't
he never
even
got
get to Empire?
No Jabba Hutt.
It was, Colin, you got to realize, like, I was fat, I wore glasses, and my name was Jabba. It's not the first movie I'm probably going to watch. Because it's like, oh, name's Jabba, like Jabba the Hutt. And I was like, I just got so tired of hearing it. I'm just like, I never got into it. I mean, I tried. Don't get me. I was like, I will give you the best I got. And so, yeah, I gave it the best I could. And I was just like, all right. And then I was like, all right, I went back and I was like, okay, give it another shot. See if you can get through this one and then get to 3 or the third one that you told me to watch. Because he gave me the order and all the other stuff. And I was like, I won't lie to you. I'll give it a go.
He did.
But I've never ever seen a second of Star Wars until then.
I first of all, I love the preface. I was fat and wore glasses. I'm like, that means you have been to every Comic-Con across the country by societal standards.
Yeah, I just need a cool outfit though to go.
That just passed. My cousins went there. You should see how crazy these people are.
Yeah.
I tell you, some of the costumes are ridiculous. They
I
look like
imagine how much money they spend on some of those.
Oh my
I
God.
wonder where they get it. Like, where are they getting that money from?
Their parents, they live at home. I mean,
That's
and
fair.
some of these kids are really intelligent. I mean, they're geeks. They're computer geeks.
That's
My cousin is like a genius. Like, he's going to nursing school just to have fun with it. He doesn't even need to. I mean, the kid doesn't even study. He's like in top of his class. Those people are just, you should have saw his outfit. I mean, he dressed up as, I forget who it was. It was some superhero. It looked just like the superhero from the cartoon. It was unbelievable. So how the F did you put this together?
And I bet
this and I did that.
His LinkedIn is just, intelligent savant. Just,
I coded in my parents' basement.
Yeah. Which, I mean, you're going to make money for the rest of your
More
life
power
if you're
to him.
able to do it, and everyone needs
Jabba
now.
Chamberlain. He's Jabba Chamberlain. He Jabba rules, baby. Jabba rules.
I remember that.
Now
Jabba, how did you handle that? Like, what was that like as a player? Sorry to suddenly take
No,
over
you're good.
this is my show. What was it like to have those rules in place, and did you have any voice in it?
No, I didn't have any say in it. It kind of just happened. We all, I mean, as Yankees fans, we all knew how Torrey managed a bullpen. And so that was kind of the thought process, because I'd never thrown out the bullpen before, but I spent 2.5 months in the minor leagues. I just got drafted. Like, I have no say. Like, I'm just happy to get to the big leagues. I'd have folded towels and cleaned the bathrooms if they said I could be in the big leagues that fast, let alone pitch. And so, yeah, I didn't really have any say. It was kind of just, they sat me down and they're like, hey, if you pitch 1 inning, you're off 1 inning. If you pitch 2 innings, you're off 2 innings. And I would come in the dugout and Joe would be like, can you pitch? And I'm like, yeah, I can, but it ain't up to me. So he would call up, and at the old stadium, the suite looked directly into the dugout so they could see. And he would call up there and they'd be like, no, but he tried probably 90% of the time. But yeah, I had no, I didn't make $1 off those shirts either.
Whoa. So there's just 2 things that I have questions about. Like, first of all, what kind of a baller move is it to make sure the owner's suite can look directly in the dugout? And 2, what kind of BS is that you're not making any money off of those shirts?
Well, it was just some random person. And then, because they said they came in, I don't remember what paper or what it was that said there's yeah, these are the Java rules, blah, blah, blah. And so then somebody just ran with it. And then I think, it was Modell's. So I did indirectly make, because I ended up signing with Modell's. But yeah, other than that, I didn't get any royalties off those shirts whatsoever.
That's insane. That's incredible. And the funny thing is, like earlier this summer, I did a panel discussion with Doc Gooden, and he was a pretty good pitcher. But at one point in his career, he came out of the bullpen, and I said, like the mentality of being a starter versus bullpen versus closer, all three are very, very different. Was that something you like had to change mentally for you, like coming out of the bullpen, or was it just like, this is my job and I'm just going to do it no matter what?
Well, I've kind of pitched in every situation. So, I mean, you just, first of all, you go out and try to execute pitches, but I mean, obviously there's leverage innings, there's, getting stops, there's starting and trying to get your team as deep as you can. Yeah, they're very different mentalities in the aspect of, understanding the situation, not trying to define you're up 5 runs, don't give up a walk and then 2-run homer. And now we got a game. Like, if they hit a homer, if they hit a solo homer, great. Like that's not going to beat you, but don't beat yourself. And then in high leverage situation, it was always different for me because I literally, my heart would speed up when I knew I was going to go in. But as soon as the doors opened, like that's when everything slowed down for me. And it was just easier, like in those leverage situations. Because when I started, I didn't know it was going to be every 5 days, if it was going to be every 8 days, 10 days. I didn't know. And then in the bullpen, I know I had some consistency. And so that's the only thing I really wish I would have had more of, is just the consistent factor of, they wanted to hold my innings back and, oh, he doesn't want to get hurt. Well, I ended up with a scar anyways. So how'd that work out for you?
Right.
So, yeah, it's just, as we're talking full circle.
There you go. Circle. It's a circle.
My first ever time on the DL was for shoulder, and my son's got to go get an MRI to see.
Come on, stop jinxing him, Jabba. We were just talking about.
Hey, we're talking full circle. I mean, you got to talk about it. Good end. First of all, he was talking about his great grandfather, talking about one of his best friends.
You don't want to jinx your son. Stop.
No, I'm not going to jinx my son. It's just
let's pray. Let's pray.
Let's play the cards you're dealt.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it was a lot of ups and downs, good and bad. And it's still cool being retired this long and people still argue about it. So I must have did something all right.
I appreciate you indulging me. By the way, you're listening to Sports Loudmouth with Colin Cosell. My guest tonight is Jabba Chamberlain. I'm also joined by Speedy Petey and Errol Marks. Coming up soon, we've got, oh, wait a second, more graphics. Errol, are you regretting the fact that you asked me on this show, or is this
that's so relative to everything we just said?
It most certainly is. Your graphics department, although rudimentary, is right on top of it.
That's Fish, by the way, our executive producer. He's fantastic.
God bless you, Fish.
He's back to laugh.
He'll send that to you. Don't worry.
I would rather he didn't. I too can use clip art. I don't. It was good in the moment, but thank you, Fish. You're still a legend in my eyes.
Yeah, look, you just heard it. Colin Cosell just called you a legend, Fish. I mean, that you should pat yourself on the back right there. I mean, besides the panty dropping that Jabba was getting when he was a pitcher, man. I mean, he was getting a lot of panty dropping, right, Jabba? Yeah,
I did okay. I did all right.
You were a fat kid with big glasses from Nebraska, and then you were pitching for the Yankees, and you were striking out David Ortiz. Who's better than you?
And I only made it with one kid still. And I had him before I got to the big leagues. I had him when I was a junior in college.
Well, didn't you get your tubes tied?
Yeah,
and I did other things that prevented it as well.
This conversation has taken quite a turn.
Ask Speedy, he knows.
Speedy was bound to happen eventually, Colin. Unfortunately.
No, No, I'm here for it. I'll be on next week too.
Well,
Let's
He
do
likes
this.
he likes dogs when he bends over.
He does.
Oh, God.
And he also likes the big corn, right, Speedy?
No, that's Java. Java and Eddie
No.
Lack are the big corn guys.
You like corn dogs?
I do.
Yeah.
That has.
How long do you
that
like
doesn't
your
have
corn
real
dogs?
corn in it?
How long do you like your corn dogs?
Again, it depends on how hungry I am.
I've got a really important question.
Speedy after dark.
Speedy, got all that hair. Does the carpet match the curtains?
Not the same color.
Okay.
And no.
Yeah, that's a simple no.
Yeah, that's
We didn't know the details. It's just
Yeah,
making a simple
it's
question.
you had an easy out there. It was yes or no. The details need not apply.
I'm gonna have a heart attack on this show.
Oh,
Yeah, you
starting
just
to
had a heart
sweat.
operation today.
No, I didn't have a heart operation. I had an echogram, and I'm going to probably have to have one.
We need to start this.
We don't need OnlyFans. Absolutely, we have to do this. Look at this. I mean,
Don't fall for
Colin,
spam
wouldn't
sites.
you apply for this, man? Come on, look at this.
Don't fall for the spam sites, Colin.
How do I put this lightly? No.
Good job. Yes,
How
join
do
the
I-
movement. I like it. You're guest number 3 that's officially joined the movement. I like that.
Yeah, you have to watch the show to even know why we do this. But Speedy is one unique individual, Colin. There's no question.
And it
it
has
is.
nothing to do with anything like that.
There's a
No.
lot of
You had me at the hat.
You sure? You didn't have you at hello?
We were just starting to get to know each other. I'm still under the weather. It's a lot of things going on right now, Earl. I'm doing the best I can, man. Listen. The wound is still fresh. We're not even a full week removed from the Mets being eliminated. I'm doing everything I can.
Well,
I
look
was
at the
trying to
bright
cover
side.
Pumpkin with my daughter, for Christ's sake. I don't know what's happening right
Look, Colin, look on the bright side. You have Speedy, he's a Met fan, and Mikey over here, he's a Met fan. So you got two guys that are Met fans, and it's just me and Java. You know,
Here's the crazy thing about this postseason run, and I think this is kind of universal, and it blew my mind. Somehow it was kind of like Rocky IV. Like somehow we got everyone on our side by the end. Fish, I am counting on you to put, I don't know. Let's put Francisco Lindor on Dolph Lundgren's face at the end of Rocky IV. When finally the Cold War was ended by Rocky Balboa, when he said, "If yous can change and I can change, then we can all change." But literally, like, it felt like the world was backing us for the first time ever. Like, people are like, "Yeah, this is a fun Mets team." So it really didn't matter. Like, it felt universal that people are like, "Yeah, all right, if the Mets make it, that's cool." Not like, "Ugh, these guys." You know what I mean? Like, that's how deep the vibes ran.
Well, I will say this, and if you're a Met fan, you should be excited for next year. I think they have a very good future. I think Mark Vientos, I think, is a very good hitter, and I think he has a great future moving forward for the New York Mets. What a find for the New York Mets. And that was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, who was that drafted him, Speedy?
I thought it was Brody. I don't remember offhand.
I think it was Brody.
I think it was as well. And Brett Beatty was supposed to be our third baseman.
Yes.
And he just couldn't figure it out. And they're like, all right, well, we'll get the bat. Meanwhile, Vientos on the back end was he and Alvarez working their tails off to just be better at their craft, at their position. And it showed over time. You know, like the kid was putting in extra work. Lindor was working with them. Like, again, this all is attributed to what's going on behind the scenes with the Mets. What we saw this year, leading off with the home opener with me announcing our first veteran of the game, Seymour Wiener, and just everyone was just like, well, that's fun. Yeah. Okay. So
I was
here's
trying
the
to
thing.
think of his name. I couldn't think of it. Like with all the superstitions, like that was the other old guy. I couldn't think of his
Dude,
name.
So we've known each other for what, 38 minutes now? Here's the thing. I'm a 44-year-old child. And when I came into work that day and they're like, okay, Colin, do you see the veteran of the game? I was just like, yes. And they said, you saw the name? I said, yes. They said, you know what it is? I said, yes. And I said, it's Seymour Wiener. They said, yes. And they start chuckling. And I was like, here's the thing. I happened to have a friend when I was 6 years old whose name was Lauren Weiner. And it just so happened that her father's name was Seymour. So it's like, this is not the first time I've seen more Weiner. Okay. So, like, this is old hat to me. And so I announced it, and then my phone blew up, and people are like, dude, how'd you get through that without laughing? I'm like, I don't have to tell you the story. It's fine. And I was like, by the way, you're at the ballpark? They're like, no, I'm watching SNY. I'm like, wait a minute. They put it on SNY. They're like, oh, yeah. And it's all over the internet right now. And I'm like, okay, cool. So we started the season 0-5, but we are riding the lightning of Seymour Weiner. Then June 12th, as I alluded to previously, Grimace came in and became our pseudo mascot. And then we had OMG and all that stuff. And then in late August, we were playing against the Oakland Athletics. And I announced Haley Welch, otherwise known as the Hawk Tua girl. She threw out a first pitch, and we got eviscerated online because it just so happened we lost that game. We had a 4-0 lead, and we blew the game. Sorry, that's a wrong term to use when Hawk Tua girls involved. Anyway, and so whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I had the dubious honor of introducing Seymour Weiner, Grimace, and Hawk Tua girl. But
That's a year.
What's that?
Said that's a year.
It is for an announcer, like, and my voice is attached to all of them, going like mega viral, and no one gives a crap about, like, they're like, who's that guy announcing them? But I do. I hear that, and I'm like, one day my daughter's gonna hear that and be like, Dad, that sounds like you. And I'll be like, no, it doesn't. Eat your eggs. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, it was an incredible year. It was a wild ride, and I feel like everyone in Major League Baseball got behind us, except for like Dodgers fans who were also like, oh, that's kind of cute. And I'm like, well, you spent $1 billion, so whatever. But I'm in a very happy place, and I feel like the future could not be brighter.
No question. And we really appreciate the time, Colin. I know you're busy. You got a wife and kids. We're very happy to have you on, and we'll get you on very, very soon. We really appreciate the time, as always, for all the different guests that we have on the show. Keep up the good work, man. I absolutely love what you're doing right now with the Mets, and the Mets have a great future, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, brother. I thought I was told I was on till 11, so I was literally prepared for the next 80 minutes. Of,
it's so funny. We did the last. We were on Monday, and then Chaba was like, "Oh, what a great show!" But man, we went over the time. What the f? I was like, Chaba, we're gonna try to keep it. We're going to try to keep it in the parameters of 7:30 to 10:30. We'll try, but it's fun, man. It goes so fast when we do a show and it goes fluent and everything is good. It's great content. It could go with the blink of an eye. You don't even realize how fast it goes.
No, you guys are an absolute blast, and I'm out here on Long Island. Would love to actually see all of you in person one day. Grab a beer when I'm actually feeling better. And to top all of this off, by the way, I'm also the PA announcer for Army, and Army football is currently, yes, you did it. Way to go, Fish. I knew you could do it. Granted, you covered up the thought bubble. But anyway, but like also Army football right now is ranked nationally, and we're undefeated. So like I get to like keep riding that through, and everything's going to be just fine. But to the Mets fans out there, the future is bright. To all the sports loudmouth fans out there, sorry for taking over the show for a few minutes.
You didn't take over nothing, man. We're happy to have you on. And you're Colin Cosell. You're Howard Cosell's grandson. And by the way, we have the same friends, so that's a plus. So we really appreciate the time, my friend. And keep up the good work. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Jabba, real pleasure, man. And Speedy, keep that hat flat, man. Love it.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you.
All right, guys. Pleasure, brother.
Colin Cosell, ladies and gentlemen. The first time. Come on, Spatty. Pitty patter. Pitty patter. There we go. Patter.
I did it.
I did it. Oh, man. I love it. Colin Cosell, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we have, our betting man. Is it Chaz?
It is Chaz, and also Wes sent some picks as well.
All right, so we're going to go. We have 10 minutes of Let's Parlay. We got a couple of big stories we have to get into, so stay on, ladies and gentlemen. Bill Belichick takes shots at who, Speedy? At who?
Jerod Mayo.
Jerod Mayo. Here we go. Pitter-patter time. And, guess what? Bill Belichick could be heading somewhere. We will get into that when we come back. And Shaq and Barkley taking shots at who, Speedy?
Joel Embiid.
Joel Embiid, the crybaby himself, when we come back. But first, our Sports Minute with Tommy Scoops.
This is the Sports Loudmouth Sports Minute.
Are you ready to get loud?
With Tommy Scoops.
I am back, ladies and gentlemen, for no other than the Sports Loudmouth Sports Minute with Tommy Scoops. And starting off with some more NFL, as always, Giants owner John Mara actually gives assurance to GM Joe Shane and Coach Brian Daboll, as he doesn't anticipate firing any of them after this season, but did cite that the quarterback problem will be resolved soon. In the coming years, soon probably we'll see. Lastly, over in the Ravens, Lamar Jackson and rest of the Ravens team actually believes that Derrick Henry has a strong chance to break the rushing yards record, as Henry currently leads the league with 873 yards and 8 touchdowns on the season. Now it's time for Scoops to Scores. We're in the NBA right now. The Hawks have a 93-89 lead over the Nets. Right now, the Magic have a 92-64 lead over the Heat, while the Bucks have a 102 lead over the 76ers. Cavaliers currently have a 109-85 lead over the Raptors, while the Rockets have a 75-64 lead. The Grizzlies currently leading the Jazz 23-20. That is all the time I have for you guys. I'm going to kick it back to the boys for Let's Parlay on the Sports Loudmouth.
This is the Sports Loudmouth.
Just like you, I won no part. Pain.
I wasn't pulling anything.
Duh. Chicka, 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 chicka. 631-672-3108 is the number to call. We don't have Keith. He hasn't showed up tonight. That's a good sign. I'm just kidding, Keith. We love you. Keith, we know you listen. I love you, man. You know I do. Oh, I am Errol Marks, my co-host, Mr. Jabba Chamberlain and Speedy Beatty. Our special guest, my pal, a guy that started the network with me 12 years ago, Mr. Mikey C. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including The Loudmouth with me, Speedy Petey, and Mr. Jabba Chamberlain every single Mondays and Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and check out our local listings for all our shows is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have Chazzy Boy. No West tonight, but we got his picks. Guys, if you're a first-time listener, these guys right now, 76% for the year for their picks. Tune in as we call this Let's Parlay.
It's time for Let's Parlay.
All right, Chaz, you're the only one here tonight. What do you got on that board back there? What are you hiding back there? What are you doing over there?
I do a lot of writing, just notes.
A lot of writing. I know.
I'm a writing and data guy. I have a weird brain. I do both math and art. So.
Well, there you go. I don't do art. I don't really write much.
I want to apologize because in the last 2 weeks I'm 6-2, so I'm sucking down that 76 average.
No, you're pretty. You guys have been pretty dead.
No, I just said I'm a math guy. 75 is less than 76. I could be 77 if I could do better. But you know what? It was funny because, and Petey and I have talked about this a lot, especially when we do Saturday night show on the Long Island, about you know what, you make your plays ahead of time based on the information you have, and then you have to react. And that live action, like Buffalo, it was like everything lined up that the Bills were the play in the second half, and you get all your money back from anything you lost. And so it's amazing how you can win a lot of money going 2-2 if you're paying attention. Now, if you got a job and you put your bets in and you go to your job, but my job is kind of sitting at home watching the game. So that's what
there you go. Are you ready, Chaz? So
you know what? I actually have 5 plays this week.
All right.
So I'm gonna ask you guys to kick one out for me. But let's talk about. I got the notes. I can talk about 5 of them real quick.
Before you do that, I just want to let everybody know that has not listened to this part of the show. Let's Parlay is pretty simple. It's simple rules. When we usually have 2 or 3 guys on, they get 3 of their top picks, and then they pick their 4th to parlay it. Okay, so guys, you get your pens and pencils out, and you get your piece of papers out. You guys can win some money. I promise you, these guys are dead on. and they're usually precisely on. So here we go. Chaz, give us your number one.
All right, so Sunday morning, 10 o'clock my time, I have over in the Atlanta-Tampa Bay game. Now, everybody knows the Tampa Bay's guys looked like they got shot because they had two really bad injuries. But here's the thing. The line is 46. And so I know that every single person that plays Atlanta scores 20 points. And then I know that Tampa Bay in their last four, they've allowed 108 points. And 108 divided by 4, I told you I was a math guy, plus 20 is more than 46. That's how I came up with that play. Same time, 10 o'clock. Now, some days I don't have, some days I don't have two games at the 10 o'clock. This week I got 3 of them. But this one is Detroit. Tennessee's offense is going in the wrong direction. Their top wide receiver gone, and Mason Rudolph. The only time you should be hearing Mason Rudolph's name is on Christmas Eve, and it should be Rudolph the reindeer. Now, I'm laying double digits, and I'm going to watch. I'm going to do the same thing with this game as the Buffalo game, though. I'm going to watch it early. When if, Tennessee gets a weird play, and Wes and I have a word for that. When the other team that's a big underdog, makes an interception or returns a kick or does something crazy, it's just an opportunity to get the line down. But there's 3 bets that I like that are double digits this week. I just think they're the better teams. Cleveland hasn't scored 20 this year, not once. The line is -9. 17 plus 9 is 26. You guys didn't think this was going to be a math lesson, did you? So here's the thing. 17 plus 9 is 26. So do I think that Baltimore's going to score more than 26 points? And the answer was yes. So I wrote them on the list. The fourth play I got is over in the Chicago-Washington game. Now, I've won a few times with the over in the Washington game. The Chicago one, maybe a little iffy, but here's my logic. Both defenses are getting better, but the Bears' offense is getting better while Washington is kind of stable, but they're stable at 30 points a game, guys. They're averaging 30 points a game. The Bears haven't allowed more than 21, but Washington hasn't scored less than 23. So I've just got a feeling that I'm a big fan of the Williams, right, for the Bears.
Caleb Williams, yep.
And Washington's got a pretty good young quarterback. The 2 young quarterbacks, sometimes those guys they do special stuff. But it's only 47. That's not a crazy number, And finally, I got that's a 125 game. And 125, of course, I'm in San Diego. So this is the time of year where we start to rub it in because our temperature is much different than yours. But you're going to see plenty of that this week, won't you? Starting Friday night when they show the temperatures, and then they go back to New York and show the temperatures.
Well, Speedy likes to rub it in every night, so I see it every night. Let's go.
Yeah, and you can really tell, but just by what they're wearing on their heads, right, at the baseball games this time of year. So this last game is Denver -10. Carolina on the road, they've scored 18 of less or in 8 of 9, and they have allowed 26 plus in 5 of 6. I'm back with another young quarterback. I'm thinking that, I would not normally worry about taking -10 with Bo Nix if it was a Saturday NCAA game, right? But this is an NFL game, and I'm still taking it. So that's the thing I got, guys. I got to kick one of those out. And I'm kicking out the Denver game or the over in the Atlanta-Tampa Bay game. Which one should I kick out? I'm going to defer to you experts.
I'm going to go with the Broncos.
What do you think, Speedy?
Let's make Davo the tiebreaker.
Oh, I got to be the tiebreaker?
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to. Just got to pick one of those two.
I'm going Broncos.
All right, so I'm kicking out the Broncos, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I just think Tampa's going to have something to prove, even with losing those guys in the Broncos.
I agree with you. And you know what? That's the kind of stuff that you could say what you want about Baker Mayfield. The bottom line is he's a football player. He's an old school football player, man. He really is. And those are the kind of guys that'll take it on themselves. So, all right, so that's our 4-teamer. We're going to our best 3 plays are Detroit, Baltimore, over Chicago, Washington, and the final one is over Atlanta, Tampa Bay.
All right, Speedy, give us Wes's.
All right, first of all, Chaz, Wes wants you to know he's very high on his Georgia pick from last week. He wanted to let everybody have it that was picking Texas.
Hey, you know what? Those are the bomb, especially when you're right from the beginning because it's such a stressless environment. The stress level of some games ain't worth the money you win. I've seen guys, I said, I just watched you. You could have had 2 heart attacks. You won $100. You're out of your mind, but that one was easy. So he should be.
Yep. So his one NFL pick, he's got Seattle covering +3 against the Bills. He's got 3 college, one UConn -6.5. They're playing against Rice. Duke is covering the spread +12.5 against SMU, number 22. And then he's got Texas A&M covering -3 at home against number 8 LSU.
There you go. Wes and Chaz, we love you. Thank you.
Yeah, always be cashing, guys.
Wow, let's parlay. And by the way, guys, they're as good as anybody in the business. I'm telling you right now, if you wrote those things down, go listen to the replay, write them down, and start making bets. These guys are the best. I'm not lying to you. This is not just me trying to sell you guys to do it. We have them on Moneyline Mania. They're over like 78% right now. Wes, we have Hector. We have all of them. I mean, we've got like 5-6 guys. They're great. One of them is actually, that's all he does. He makes what is he?
Papoose Paulo.
No, not even Papoose Paulo.
GMF John.
GMF John.
Yeah.
He goes to Vegas. This guy, he has his own organization. He sells picks, and this guy makes a lot of money doing it. He was actually on a TV show.
That's right.
He was on a TV show.
Wasn't there a guy supposedly a couple years ago that called himself like Vegas something or whatever? It was kind of a
there's a lot of different guys that say they're really good betting guys, but I could tell you this. I've had a couple of really good ones on our show. These guys are as good as anybody. I'm telling you, if they're better than Vegas. They're better than Vegas. They'll give you 8, 9, 10 picks, no matter how many people on. They'll go 8-2. They'll go 10-0. I think one week it was the worst week they had. I think two of them had 2 wrong. They were like 2-2. I think that was the worst I've ever seen it. I mean, these guys are great. So if they're good, and by the way, Chaz, he's a mathematical whiz guy. So he'll sit there and jot numbers down, and he's as good as it gets. I'm telling you right now. I see Mike making faces. I know it gets a little boring when you hear it, but they're good. And if you want to win some money, you should be listening. That's all I'm going to say about that. Yes, Fish. Go ahead, put it up again. I know you want to. Go ahead, put it up. There it is. Good old Rudolph, baby. You know, you like that job, all right?
I mean, it's dynamite. I didn't expect him to go there, but I was like, that was quick-witted.
Well, it is. It's very quick-witted. After the Patriots lost against the Jaguars, Jerod Mayo said that the Patriot players were soft, especially on defense. Mayo emphasizes good football teams know how to tackle, stop the run, and tackle on special teams. Bill Belichick took shots at Mayo, saying that mostly the same roster was the number 1 run defense last year and number 26 this year. Belichick also added that Mayo shouldn't be criticizing his team publicly the way he did. 2 Patriot wide receivers also had cryptic tweets taking shots at Mayo for their lack of playing time. Both the Patriots offense and defense are bottom 10 in both yards and points per game. I mean, you knew this was going to happen. I'm telling you, I knew this was going to happen. Bill Belichick was bound to open his mouth and say what he thought about this Patriot team. It is embarrassing right now what's going, but we knew this was going to happen. We all know that Mikey C loves their young quarterback. Great for him. Top quarterback in the league in 4 years. He's on drugs, and we'll get into that in just a few moments. Drake May is not going to be a top 5 quarterback in 4 years. Just that's not even an opinionated answer. I mean, that's pretty fact. But I will say this. Right now, Jerod Mayo is in a tailspin, and the tailspin is about to drop. Bill Belichick, who's kept this team, at top of the AFC East for how long? I mean, he was there for 22 years? They were on the top of the AFC for 20 out of the 22 years. The fact right now, this is Jerod Mayo's first year as the head coach of this New England Patriot team, and they're the worst team right now in the AFC. Yes, in the AFC. They're the worst team in the AFC. It says a lot about what Bill Belichick preaches. And what Bill Belichick preaches is it doesn't matter what player or what team you have together, you find a way to win the game. You find a way to find ways to win games. And this team finds a way to lose games. I mean, The Jets right now are a team that finds a way to lose games. I mean, the Patriots are starting to fall into the Jets brand, and I'm a Jet fan. So, I mean, the fact that there's cryptic statements by players right now on the team only says one thing. There's players that decided to take shots at Jerod Mayo in the beginning of the preseason. Where are they now? One of them is playing for Atlanta, their best defensive player. So you see what's going on right now with that organization. Robert Kraft handpicked her. Robert Kraft came out in the beginning of the season after the first game, said that Jerod Mayo was handpicked 3 years ago to be the next head coach. 3 years ago. And that tells me one thing. Bill Belichick knew his ass was going. He knew it 3 years ago. He was going. And why? Because he decided to go, and Robert Kraft decided to go pitch it to Jerod Mayo that he was the next head coach of this organization. I don't know what's going on with the Patriots. We all know one thing. Bill Belichick is not running the show anymore. Bill Belichick is going to say whatever he wants. As we know, Jerry Jones likes to say whatever he wants about his organization. Bill Belichick is right now the lead go-getter. If Mike McCarthy gets fired, he's the guy that's probably going to be taking over for the Cowboys. I don't think that makes sense for Bill Belichick because there are going to be teams lining up like the Giants, like the Eagles. There are going to be better teams right now that have their players lined up. I mean, their teams are pretty much set up with a lot of youth. I knew this was going to happen on the Pat McAfee show. I knew it. And Pat McAfee loves this because Pat McAfee likes to draw. What does he like to draw, Speedy? Attention and controversy. This is what he likes. That's why Aaron Rodgers is on the show. That's why Bill Belichick's on the show. I wouldn't even be surprised if Bill Belichick is one of the coaches that could be available for the New York Jets. That would be fitting that the Jets bring in Bill Belichick to screw that organization up even more.
That would be hilarious, but never happened.
I don't think so either, but he loves Aaron Rodgers. So who knows if what Aaron Rodgers wants, he will get. But I'm not surprised about this. I think Jerod Mayo needs to keep it within the locker room. Don't go out there. Don't publicize anything. Bill Belichick was the king of not publicizing anything. Whatever was going on with him and Robert Kraft, whatever was going on with him and Tom Brady, whatever was going on with him and Julian Edelman, whatever was going on with him and Rob Gronkowski. And yes, I'm saying this because I know this to be a fact. Anybody that watched The Dynasty would know that a lot of these guys were not getting along with Bill Belichick, but you wouldn't have even known because Bill Belichick kept winning. Nobody even cared. When you win, nobody cares. Jabba, you know this. When you win, nobody cares. When you lose, everybody is trying to find something to powder the puff, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and you also look at like coaches that are taking over teams that we know are very bad. Like, for example, Brian Flores is the positive end of it. Miami was actively tanking that year for Tua Tagovailoa. We knew their roster was horrible. Brian Flores didn't say anything. He just coached his team. He had good relationships with the players for the most part, and he built a good winning culture there. Then obviously they did him wrong, and he's still looking for a coaching job since then as a head coach. He's doing a great job as a coordinator now in Minnesota. But we've also seen the other extreme with these Patriot disciples with the Giants and Joe Judge, who actively called out his players. And how long did he last? And Jerod Mayo is kind of getting in that same kind of boat as what Joe Judge was. And that's not the team you want to do it with the New England Patriots. And you question a lot of the things with Robert Kraft, too. You have every right to be so now because Bill Belichick seems like a stabilizer at this point. Now Bill Belichick just rolling with the fact that everything is just okay because he wanted Jerod Mayo 3 years ago, and now he's having these public backlash going at it. It is very Jets-esque what they're going through right now. The Patriots did everything to do to keep everything a secret, including Bill Belichick's contract last year that we talked about. So yeah, it's very Jets-esque.
I think it's funny too, like how he always hit everything when he coached, but now that he's not coaching, it's like you're criticizing everything, right? And I think, obviously Mayo in his like, I think one of his quotes from Pro Football Talk, he's just like, look, I said the main focus is on the guys inside of this building, not only players, but also the coaches and the rest of the staff. And I mean, great answer because it's a lose-lose, like even though you were handpicked, but also at the same time, it's like seeing the dynamic that Belichick has done on the McAfee show and Manning cast and call people out when it is a 180 compared to when he actually was coaching, where everything was so mundane, and it's still mundane, but he's more vocal about certain things. And it's just, it's really different. It's like, if if he is going for another job, does he revert back to everything is in house, like, or is he going to keep the same mentality that he's doing right now? Because he never called out anybody. He's like, we'll figure it out, this, that, and another thing. But yeah, it was just interesting when I was reading all about it. And I'm like, this, you wouldn't think what this was his, I guess, demeanor, but if you've seen Dynasty, you could kind of tell there's been conflict between multiple people, but you never knew until he wanted it to come out.
Well, you got to look at it like this. Jerod Mayo is losing the locker room. Bill Belichick is, you can almost say on record that he could obviously be the greatest NFL coach. So, but I do believe if he does get another NFL job, I think we saw when Tom Brady left, his kind of coaching, his technique, him taking over the team, being a general manager and a coach, it didn't bowl too well for him. So as another team that may look to bring him in, I don't know if I would moving forward, but obviously he could say whatever he wants about his former team that he used to coach and the former players that are there. He did it. He won 6 rings and he's a master at it. So I back him on whatever he has to say. And knowing the way the Patriots play right now, it's a disgrace. And Mayo is losing the locker room. And, even though Robert Kraft picked Mayo, maybe sometimes, and I've always said this, it goes as far back with Jerry Jones, and I'm watching it now with Mara. Stay out of it as an owner. Let the people that you hire make the football decisions.
And you mentioned where would Bill Belichick fit? And I've been saying this, and I'll tell you, I know exactly where he would fit. It makes a lot of sense. That's the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the one reason why is I believe Jacksonville's owner would make Bill Belichick the GM and the coach.
See, I don't think that'd be a good idea.
I do, because right now they have a good defense. They have a lot of good players on the defensive side of the ball. They have a quarterback that hasn't developed. Bill Belichick loves that fast toss, fast pass. And one of the fastest releases right now in the NFL is Trevor Lawrence, when he does actually step into the pocket and throw the ball. So if you have a quarterback that has a fast release, that's the guy. You need to redevelop this guy. Doug Peterson couldn't do it. Bill Belichick brings in, all these disciples. We all know where he would go when it came to that, when it comes to his offensive coordinator. He's a failure when it comes to head coach. But Josh McDaniels is a good offensive coordinator, and he has coached good quarterbacks, even bad quarterbacks, and made them good quarterbacks. I think if you bring in Bill Belichick, he could be the GM. Ownership will allow him to do what he needs to do to rebuild this team and this organization. That's the one that makes the most sense. But again, the Cowboys are going to go full out, press for Bill Belichick. Why? Because he's a name. And Bill Belichick, he believes Jerry Jones, because he's the greatest coach of all time as far as he's concerned, that if he brings him, he brought Bill Parcells in. Remember that? Bill Parcells got this team playing well. And then all of a sudden, Bill Parcells says, sayonara, I don't want to be here anymore, because he didn't want to deal with Jerry Jones. Jimmy Johnson, great coach, won 2 Super Bowls, wins 2 Super Bowls. Then he goes, sayonara, I'm not dealing with your crap anymore. Jerry Jones needs to step down and let the coach and the GM run this organization. If he does this, they win a Super Bowl. They would have won a Super Bowl already if they kept Amari Cooper. They absolutely would have. That was a good offensive line, and they had Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb 2 years into his career. I mean, CeeDee Lamb, look what CeeDee Lamb is right now. Look at Amari Cooper. Could you imagine these two guys on the same roster right now? They would be explosive. It was a mistake getting rid of him. I was the first person that took shots at Amari Cooper for years, because I thought Amari Cooper was a number 2, not a number 1. A great number 2, but not a number 1. I take it back. Amari Cooper's a lot better than I thought he was. And he's showing it right now. In one game, he didn't even know the offense, and he's running all over the place catching balls. So I just, to me right now, where I think it makes a lot of sense for Bill Belichick, and speaking of Bill Belichick, I got another story for you guys to hear. On the Pat McAfee show, Bill Belichick took shots at the Giants organization for the way they have approached their offense. He mentioned not re-signing Saquon Barkley. I love this guy already. For only about $1 million more than they offered him in the past. He really pissed Bill Belichick off. He also took shots at Joe Shane for his approach to rebuilding the offensive line, saying they have nobody that can play the tackle position. He said that Daniel Jones is trying to hang in there, and it is tough sledding for him without Andrew Thomas. When McAfee told Belichick that Daniel Jones is still starting, Belichick said, right, in somewhat sarcastic way. So honestly, Bill Belichick and me agree with a lot of things he just said, okay? Bill Belichick actually thinks Daniel Jones could play. He does. He thinks that you can win with Daniel Jones. But right now, the Giants have not built through the trenches. We all know this. Joe Douglas, shame on you, and I don't want to hear it from the Jet fans, because Joe Douglas came in, he said the number one thing he was going to do was build around the trenches. Okay, your best trench player is Quentin Williams. You didn't even draft him, okay? That's one. Number two, you said about building your offensive line. You drafted Mekhi Beckham. He sucks. He's a guard right now for the Eagles. That's just the Jets. Now let's go to Joe Schoen, who is asking his kids who he should draft in the first and second round, okay? Here's what I'm going to say about Joe Schoen. Joe Schoen this offseason decided to part ways with his best offensive option. He went at Joe Schoen and the Giants this past week, had 175 yards and 1 touchdown, absolutely humiliated that organization for not signing him, okay? You bring in offensive linemen, 2 offensive linemen that have not done their job. I'm sorry. I don't care what you say, Fish, with PFL or whatever, PPF or whatever the hell you're going to say. I don't care. When it comes to what I've seen, the eye thing, I think that offensive line, even with Andrew Thomas, was up and down. They were not protecting Daniel Jones. And by the way, where are the weapons? Where are the weapons? I don't want to hear about Robinson. He sucks. I don't want to hear about Darius Slayton, who everybody tried to compare to Odell Beckham. He sucks. Okay? And all I'm going to say is one thing, and one thing only. When you have one weapon, what do teams start to do? They take away that weapon. They take away your best option. And then what do you have? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So all you Giant fans that want to take shots at Daniel Jones, that he sucks, he's washed up, he's that. And let me ask you a question. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. That's what everybody says, right? Right? Is that what they say, Speedy? What is he doing with nothing right now?
Throwing interceptions.
Nothing. Exactly. 0. So what does that spell for all you Giant fans? It spells you have a quarterback. You don't know how to build a team. Just like the Jets, Jets. And that's all I'm going to say about the Giants. I think Bill Belichick is absolutely home run out of the park. They should have signed Saquon Barkley. They'd be a playoff-bound team right now. A bound team right now with Saquon Barkley. 100%. You could book that. They would be right now. They would have 3 wins right now if Saquon Barkley was on that roster. And shame on the Giants not doing that. And as far as building the offensive line, yeah, you spent enough money and it didn't work. Joe Schoen, hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back. And as far as Brian Dable's concerned, he can sit on the sidelines, turn red until he blows up like a friggin' blueberry. I'm going to tell you this right now. The best thing he did this offseason is lose the effing weight.
Yeah, they've had a problem even going back before Joe Schoen developing this offensive line too, and they've had to resort to having these bad contracts. Nate Solder being one of them. Somebody that Belichick coached, and that did not.
You got all Giant fans. I can't wait to hear this.
They did not get that to work either, and it's been a big problem for them since then. And as good as Joe Schoen has done well drafting defensive players, I think the rookies that they have this year have done very well on the defensive side of the ball. He doesn't draft well in key positions. That's really hurt the Giants. And you're seeing now Andrew Thomas is one of the best offensive linemen in the league, but he goes down, and all of a sudden the offensive line goes down to a bottom 3 offensive line in the NFL. That doesn't really bode well for the rest of the draft picks that you have. We say it all the time with a lot of our guests. Offensive line is the biggest team unit in the NFL, and you can get away with winning Super Bowls with just competent enough team offensive lines. You don't necessarily have to have that all-pro left tackle all the time. And it just I'm not taking shots at Andrew Thomas. He's a fantastic player, but you could get that kind of thing if you just draft well, but they haven't done that either. And same thing with wide receivers. Since they traded Odell, obviously they've won the trade because they got Dexter Lawrence out of it, but they haven't drafted a good homegrown wide receiver until this year with Malik Neighbors. So Belichick is right in terms of nailing the fact that he has not been able to hit on key positions, and as a result, they let a guy walk, and all of a sudden they have no offense.
Yeah, well, it's going to stay like that because John Mara, as we started the show, came out and said that he does not foresee making any changes this offseason. Not even talking about this season, but this offseason, they're going to see it through. They're going to have Daniel play out his contract. because he's a man of his word. He's given him a contract. He's going to play it out, unlike the 99% of other professional athletes where the teams just chew him up and spit him out. Yeah, Mara's, he's going to be an honorable by just keep taking these L's with Daniel Jones. Look, we talked about it a lot. Daniel Jones is if he has good situation, he's an effective quarterback. He's definitely an NFL quarterback. Is he a starter? He's might not be after this year if he doesn't figure it out real soon. Look, the line is not great. Let's not say the line is great. They played well against not great teams when they still had Andrew Thomas. They're not going to be nearly as good without him. But it's still the best line that Daniel Jones had in the last 4 years, because it was so bad before this that he couldn't even get into any 5-step drops. Now at least he kind of can. It still wasn't good. They got their asses kicked on the line. Illuminor was really good all season. He got destroyed at right tackle. And you have Izudu, who I don't even know how he's still in the league. He probably won't be after the next couple of weeks. It looks ugly again. It's bad, and the guards are fine. But as Belichick said on the McAfee show, what they do, they spend the extra money on a guard. They got some pretty bad guards, some UFAs talking about Van Roden, trying to, that are just on this roster. And they could have just gave Saquon a couple of $1 million more, and he can carry guys 10 yards like he did to the Giants over and over and over again in the game this week. And it was just horrible to watch. I mean, I love Saquon. I love them, and I can't do it anymore. I can't ever root for the Eagles. They're my most hated team, at least because they're better than the Cowboys. But I hate them both, but definitely the Eagles more. I hate their fans more. There's a lot of hatred. I feel the hate. But when it comes to baseball, I hate the Red Sox fans more than the Philly fans because I'm not a Mets fan. But I could see how I would still hate the Philly fans more because I really hate the Philly fans. In case you guys weren't paying attention, this is who I am.
Phillies fans. It all ages. When we got there, I mean, there was double birds. You had 70-year-old men cussing at you. Like it was impressive. But yeah, I mean, I was like, whoa, we got real classy over here. We took the train, so everybody knew we were getting off. So, but yeah, I mean, it's the O-line, like you said, is the biggest conglomerate and biggest group of your squad. And Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones. He's throwing 4 interceptions, but only 6 touchdowns. So, I mean, it'll be what it is. If they said they're sticking to it, then I guess be a man of your word and stick to it. If you're not going to do anything now, we're in the off season. So I don't believe a word that these dudes say. They're just trying to appease everybody just to get through whatever the situation is and what all of us are talking about. So I don't trust them as far as I can throw them, but so we'll see what happens.
Well, what's an ownership supposed to say? No, they're not going to be around. He's saying the political answer going forward. As long as Mara's involved, team's not going to go anywhere. I'm going to give a couple more weeks just to see him on how I feel about Shane and Dable moving forward. And the whole Barkley thing, the team was a mess. If you re-signed Barkley, what was it going to do? Maybe an extra 1 or 2 wins? Barkley would be.
Think more than that.
Well, I mean, but they're not going to be playoff worthy.
How do you know? I mean, the NFC stinks, Mike.
You're right, but I don't think they'd be playoff worthy.
I do. I would say Saquon Barkley and Malik Neighbors 100%. That would make Malik Neighbors even better if you have Saquon Barkley.
It opens up the field for more
not
options.
That good. It's it's causing an issue. If they're not that good, all you have to do is force.
Dude, the offensive line sucked for years, and Saquon Barkley was still kicking ass. You don't need a good line.
They didn't win many games.
Come on.
They won 3 games with cutlets last year, which they shouldn't have won.
Oh, come on, Mike.
And he's horrible.
Well, first of all, Daniel Jones was not healthy last year.
No, I'm just bringing it up. Like, they're just not
Bosco.
good all the way around. And, and that's what I'm saying. Like, even though you got to utilize your money and spread it around, if they would have re-signed Barkley, it would have been a waste of this year because they're not that good. Barkley would be a missing piece moving forward, in my opinion, when you're a good enough team. Like the Eagles. The Eagles, besides what's going on, I'm talking about, they have Devontae Smith, they have A.J. Brown, they have Goddard, who's injured right now. They have a good offensive line. Like the missing piece was that consistency in running back, even though Swift was pretty good. They should have never got rid of him, but whatever. Barkley's much better.
All right, Scoops. I know you're a Giant fan. We have somebody on the phone. Hold on, and we'll get you through.
Yeah, all I'm gonna say is we kind of mentioned it a little bit last time we were talking about the show, with Saquon Barkley and the whole Joe Shane thing. But Joe Shane did have a bunch of questions entering the season, especially after the Hard Knock situation. A lot of them being answered, showing his incompetence. How is the running game going to be? How will the offensive line perform? This team averages like 4 to 8 sacks given up on them every game. And their best running back is a guy who wasn't even designated to start. So you wonder what was truly Joe Shane's game plan going into the season. And I mean, this season comes 3 of the 5 losses are all coming from one of the Giants' big issues this season. I feel like is they can't finish any games strong. I mean, they start off either quarter number 1, quarter number 2, or even quarter number 3. Finding a bit of a rhythm, finding a bit of offense. They get either Malik Neighbors or somebody like Tracy. I can't remember the
Tyron Tracy.
Tyron Tracy getting involved later in the game, but their offensive line just shows their insufficiency. Their offensive line and then their defense, like I said, doesn't know how to show up for a game. Like for instance, that game against the Bengals, that was a defensive game all the way up into the fourth quarter, which the Giants should have easily won that. The Bengals tried everything to not win that game until. The Giants, just like I said, basically didn't want to win the game either, showing how, letting Joe Burrow had like a 50-yard run, which made absolutely no sense in the beginning of the game. And then, like I said, that
killed
score.
Me. He beat me in fantasy. Thank you, Joe.
Of course. And he hasn't even been a good fantasy, good fantasy quarterback either.
No.
So the fact that we're making incompetence decisions like this, it goes to show.
Fish, what are you trying to make me throw up? I mean, seriously.
He pulled up the exact run.
Yeah.
How do you let that happen? What is I don't understand. So
you go man coverage because you're so worried about the receivers, you don't put anyone on the quarterback, and he's too freaking good to do that. It's just, look, Shane Bowen's first year as a defensive coordinator with the Giants. There's been some really good performances by the front seven. There's also been some questionable performances by the secondary. So I think it's a little bit uneven, but I do like what I've seen. Look, a lot of good sacks from, Brian Burns has been as advertised. Dexter Lawrence is going to probably be defensive player of the year right now. I think he's 9 sacks as an interior lineman, but you see all these things and he's like getting doubled on some.
Either way, just so everybody knows, I'm never going to get the credit for that. When Dexter Lawrence got drafted on the show, I called him Sexy Dexy. Just so you guys know that. And then all of a sudden, everybody started using it. I'm not taking any credit because nobody's going to give me credit. But just so anybody knows, I remember him Clemson. And when he was drafted at number 16 or 17 on this show, I said, look, Sexy Dexy. That's what I said. And you want to know something? Now all of a sudden, everybody's calling him Sexy Dexy. So I'm not going to get any credit for it. But if you go back and you go watch the draft show that we had, I said Sexy Dexy.
Mike remembers that well. That's the night he became a Patriots fan.
That's true, too.
All right, we got Keith on the phone.
Hey, boys.
Hey, Keith, what's up?
Yeah, most of now the Giants, everybody knew they were going to suck. You guys act like it's a surprise. They don't have a good team. Their line sucks. And Jones never has had a chance to be a decent quarterback. We'll never know what kind of quarterback he is until he gets the hell off that team. But in my opinion, I agree with you. Guys really think? Do you think the Giants were going to be good?
I had 7 and 10 at the start of the year.
You had them what?
I had them
7 and 10.
I had them about 7 or 8
in
wins.
4 games.
I had them 7 or 8 games because I looked at their schedule.
I had them 4 and 13 before the year, but I could be wrong. They might win more. I doubt it. They got nothing. They have neighbors. That's it. I like Tracy. I think he's going to be good, a good fine. But without a line, they're not going to do anything on both sides of the ball.
No, I think you're right, and I think right now it's a shame what's going on with Daniel Jones. All the Giant fans are going to throw him under the bus and blame him for everything.
Not me.
I don't. I'm not even a Giant fan, and I still think he's a quality quarterback. I think the Giants got it all wrong, and he will go somewhere else. I promise you, he'll go somewhere else and he'll succeed. Look at Baker Mayfield. He succeed. He's right now in Tampa throwing the ball all over the field. Now, I'm not saying he's Baker Mayfield.
Right.
I'm not saying that he's Baker Mayfield, but I'm saying that he's a lot faster than he looks inside and out of the pocket. He can run and he can throw the ball. He doesn't need to have a strong arm to throw 60, 70-yard passes. If he throws 40 and 30-yard passes and makes them accurately, he could be successful. He's a better version of Ryan Tannehill. Okay. So I like that.
I like that actually comparison.
Yeah, that's what I think he is. He's a better version of Ryan Tannehill.
Same type of quarterback.
Yeah, he is. Ryan Tannehill was a wide receiver when he was drafted.
About that, but I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, both good athletes.
Mm-hmm.
as far as the NFC keeps saying it sucks, I don't think it's much different than the AFC, honestly. I think it's a weird league, this year. I think you got the 4 teams in the NFC North that are all really good. The other conferences do suck. Divisions, Tampa Bay is good. I don't think they'll go to the Super Bowl. I think they are loaded with talent. Not now, with the 2 receivers out. Perfect for Mayfield. I just don't think they're good enough to
if they get Cooper Kupp and Mike Evans comes back, I think they do.
Well, I still don't think they're as good as Detroit or Green Bay.
All right, but they're third probably. You still have to put them above a lot of the
Detroit
other
just
teams.
lost. Detroit just lost their best defensive player.
Yeah, that's huge. But I think they'll get somebody.
Who? They got one more week left.
Well, maybe yeah, that's true. But I think their offense can overcome it. They're not horrible defense, but that obviously that hurt them big time. I think San Fran's not going to do shit anyway, no matter what they do. They don't look good at all.
I think. By the way, Keith, I think Minnesota is very overrated. This is Minnesota. Every year they'll find a way. Remember, they were 13-5 a couple of years ago. They played the Giants and they got pounced. They got pounced out.
Overrated because everybody expected them to come in dead last. Oh no, not dead last. Well, them was Chicago. Chicago, I got to be honest. I didn't like the coach. He's doing a great job this year. They're getting better and better each week, and that's what the sign of a good coach for the team. I don't like him either. He's surprising me. They are. They're growing as a team week by week, both defensively and offensively.
Caleb Williams is special. I told you guys this. He's special. And I think he's the best version. He's the closest version to Aaron Rodgers when Aaron Rodgers came into the league. I said that to people.
Well,
people thought I was on drugs.
I feel like Daniels just is well, obviously people don't think you're on drugs because you was drafted first. So
Aaron Rodgers wasn't. He was drafted in the 20s.
No, that's what I'm saying. And Caleb Williams is expected to be.
Dude, if you listen to this show years and years ago, I was saying that Caleb Williams was going to be the number 1 pick when he was coming from high school, going to play for Oklahoma as a backup to who? Speedy? You know it.
Yeah, your favorite quarterback.
Spencer Rattler. Okay. And he won the job from Spencer Rattler. Okay. So I just want to let everybody know, and all those experts that told me I was out of my mind and think I was stupid, who's right about that? Who's right about that? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. That's right. You won't come on the show anymore because you know I'm going to just rip you a freaking part. That's the truth. Anybody that knows this show and is listening to this show, we had 3 experts, 3 NCAA experts. And one of them, he scouts Division I talent. And where is he now? I don't see him on his show because he knows what's going to happen. He's going to be smacked around because I told him what Caleb Williams was going to be. And he told me I'm on drugs. I don't know what I'm talking about. You don't know what talent is. Okay. I don't know what I'm talent. I don't know.
Well, everybody knew Caleb Williams was talented.
I'm not talking about that. This was coming out from high school. And he says, I've been scouting kids all the way through.
He got drafted by Oklahoma. So obviously he was great.
Well, he wasn't drafted. He was he
transferred.
He transferred. Yeah, it was a transfer. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, then USC, right? So, anyway,
yes.
And obviously the Washington kid, I think those 2 are going to be awesome for years. Drake May is going to be a good quarterback, but top 5 quarterback, no. He's looked really good so far with on an awful team. He throws a nice ball, another great athlete on a different team. He could be, but. Williams and Danielson in a league of their own right now. Love is awesome. And he's playing great. MVP like his Goff.
Yeah.
His percentage has been unbelievable.
By the way, I told everybody, Mike, remember when I told you to draft Goff in the fantasy league if there was a quarterback to go after?
I just picked him up as my backup.
I didn't draft.
I know. I know, but I said that he was.
Lamar.
Yeah. Anyways, Keith, we got one more story. Thanks for calling, buddy.
I'll talk to you guys later.
Keith Rooney, baby. We love him. One more story. It's a big one, baby. We left it the best for last. Well, I don't know about best. I mean, when you hear Charles Barkley in the conversation, it's never the best. ESPN reports that the NBA will investigate Joel Embiid for not be playing in back-to-back games during the regular season in order to reduce injury risks. Charles Barkley said, Embiid saying that shows he is a bad leader as one of the top 5 players in the league. Shaq took shots at Embiid saying the league today is not physical enough to be worried about load management. Stephen A. Smith said that Joel Embiid could have every injury ever on a human body. ESPN's Jay Williams defended Embiid, saying that the 76ers have to do this to have a chance of making the Eastern Conference Finals. Embiid has only played 60 games or more 4 out of the 10 NBA seasons he's played in. First of all, I give a shout out to Shaquille O'Neal because I like Shaquille O'Neal, I like Shaq, I like his personality, I like everything. And I like Charles Barkley. Again, I am not a big fan of Joel Embiid. I'm actually happy the Knicks were not going or willing to go after Joel Embiid after what he did in the playoffs this past season. You should be embarrassed of yourself after what you were doing, trying to injure people, trying to, pretty much look at right now. Mitchell Robinson is not having a season until February. Why? Because of Joel Embiid for what he did. So Joel Embiid should have been suspended. Joel Embiid should have had fines and all that other stuff. But you know what? He's a superstar, and this is what happens with Adam Silver because LeBron James or the LeBums are running the organization as a whole. As far as the investigation of back-to-back games, Joel Embiid right now is going to cause his own problem moving forward as an NBA player. If you're going to do something, don't open your friggin' mouth, okay? Keep it to yourself. Nobody gives a crap what you're going to do. Just do it. I mean, LeBron James does it all the time. How many times have we seen LeBron James play 58 games in a season? He does not play 82 games in a season because he's all about the playoffs. Why the hell would you go out there and open your damn freaking mouth and throw your team and yourself under the bus? Because now you're going to be investigated and you can lose a draft pick. I mean, I don't know what the NBA is going to do, and Adam Silver is a little bitch, so you know damn well he's not going to take away the 76ers draft pick because Adam Silver is all about the players because this is a players' league. Mike, we fight about this all the time, and this is why we don't watch the regular season in the NBA because it's run by the players. The NBA is a league of extraordinary gentlemen. You know why they're extraordinary? They're making hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're making their own friggin' rules, okay? I'm tired of this. And Charles Barkley, for a guy that I can't stand Charles effing Barkley because he can't stand the Knicks, okay? And his takes on the Knicks is just absolutely unbearable. I have to say that Charles Barkley is extremely right. If you think that you're a top 5 player, you should be playing. You should be out there. Michael Jordan came out many, many times on his many different documentaries, including Last Dance, and said, quote unquote, I played 82 games. I never sat out because I know that when I was in that stadium, people came to see me play. And I wanted to make sure that what people were spending, they got a chance to spend their money in the right places, that it was worth every penny on the tickets and jersey sales and everything that they bought at that stadium because I was playing. When you hear that from Michael Jordan, you don't see LeBron doing that. You don't see Steph Curry doing that or Joel Embiid or anybody in the NBA. And by the way, Greg Popovich started this. The great Popovich that everybody says is the greatest or one of the greatest coaches of all time. He has ruined the game of basketball. Yes, Greg Popovich is one of the main reasons why these athletes, because he started this with Tim Duncan, if you guys remember. He did it with Duncan, then he did it with Ginobili, then he did it with Parker, then he did it with Kawhi, and now you look at the league, everybody's doing it. Because it's all about the playoffs. It's all about winning championships. It's despicable. Why do people go and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, play tickets, buying 10-game tickets? Look up right now, Nick tickets right now for 10-game package. All the way in upper bleachers, whatever they call nosebleeds. You know how much they are? They're like almost $7,000-$8,000. I mean, why the hell would I want to go and watch a game in the nosebleeds for $8,000 when I could sit in my home and watch it on a 55 or 65-inch screen TV and actually hear these morons speak play-by-play? I mean, seriously, it's horrible. It's despicable. And the NBA needs to fix this. And they need to fix this fast because the game is absolutely twisted.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard's a good example of that, too, because even though he had the Greg Popovich load management later on in his Spurs career, he still had the injury issues after with Toronto and then with the Clippers. So another extreme. We never know when he's coming back for a lot of the time. So I think at that point, like, there's players that are just in too deep when it comes to injuries. And I think Joel Embiid is that example of that, which is why yeah, you could try this approach if you're the Sixers not playing in back-to-back games. Is it really going to make a difference for somebody like that? Because he's always been injury prone. Stephen A. Smith has jokingly, he says injuring everything in the human body. I mean, he's injured pretty much a lot of the major injuries in the NBA. And for a guy that has to really be a leader for a 76ers team that's very old outside of Tyrese Maxey, you need that kind of thing to work. As far as the low management thing, I've always been very neutral on that kind of thing. But Joe Dumars was pushing it last year to not be that.
Who started it, Speedy? Who started it?
Well, yeah, Greg Popovich, I know, started it. I'm saying,
I rest my case.
I'm
greatest coach of all time. Everybody was putting the greatest coach of all time. Even Stephen A. freaking Smith pointed it out and said Greg Popovich is the greatest coach of all time. Did you ever see Phil Jackson say that to any of his players? Kobe Bryant played the majority of his games. Shaquille O'Neal, big fat Shaquille O'Neal, Mr. Diesel played every single one of his games when he's healthy. You never seen Phil Jackson do this, but everybody says Phil Jackson bought his wins because he coached great players. Guess what? So did Greg Popovich. So Stephen A. Smith, bite me.
Yeah, and the point with Kawhi Leonard especially, and Jabba, you probably dealt with teammates with that. They're always going to be injury prone anyway, if you want to give them an innings limit or not, or have them not go as long into the games as you would be. And the same kind of thing with basketball. You could try to load manage somebody like Joel Embiid all you want. I don't know if it's going to make a difference. And I think Joe Dumars, who we talked about last year, trying to emphasize the fact that you're trying to play more, is going to start the investigation. You're right. It's not going to be as much Adam Silver. I think it's going to be more him that's going to force into Embiid if it does get to a higher extreme.
But to your point, Speedy, exactly like you said, it's like, even if you load management, even on the back end with Kawhi, we've seen, what happened. But Arrow, when you're talking about Embiid saying something, the freaking Sixers president of baseball operations told them that this is what they're going to do. Would try to keep both Embiid and Paul George out of back-to-backs this series. We're going to be smart about it. Part of being smart about it is having both George and Joel probably not play many back-to-backs, if any. Like, shut up. Like, you don't say anything when LeBron does it, like, and you see it. And that's exactly, to your point, what Jordan said. It's like, I'm going to play because I'm going to give you what you want. And you know how many signs you've seen where kids have said, I've traveled 1,000 miles to see so-and-so, and they're not playing because coach's decision? Like, that's a farce. Like, if you're hurt, you're hurt. I get it. Like, injuries happen. But if you're just taking a day and, just a recovery day, do the recovery before the game starts. You got the best technology and the best trainers in the world. Like, you can get back. Like, there's so many opportunities. And I get taking a day here because it's a grind. And I understand that. But also, too, you see, guys in like baseball playing 158 games. Marcus Simeon's played 162, like 6 seasons in a row or something crazy. That's with travel. That's with everything, and playing through injuries like, oh, my pinky, or when Paul Pierce got taken off in a wheelchair because he had to take a shit. Like, what are we talking about? We'll watch hockey. They'll get 2 teeth knocked out in stitches and they're back out in 7 minutes. Like, what are we doing?
All the time. The most profitable dentist is Alex Ovechkin's.
Oh, 100. I don't even know if he has any real teeth anymore.
I love Alexander Ovechkin, and I love hockey players because hockey players are tough, and they'll go out there with a broken toe, broken fingers, broken knuckle. They'll do whatever it takes to go out there to win for their team, and that's what a team is for. When you watch what's going on in the NBA, they're all peewees, every single one of them, crybaby. And I'll say this about Jalen Brunson: I got to give Jalen Brunson a lot of credit. Jalen Brunson hurt his wrist at midseason, and Jalen Brunson played. He taped his wrist, and he went out there week in and week out and played with a hurt wrist. That's what you want your player to do. That's what you want your captain to do. Now, by the way, congratulations to Jalen Brunson. I never gave him congratulations being named the New York Knicks captain. But to sit here, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Knicks fan. I'm just speaking the truth. When you look at the league and you look at how these players are playing now, it's all about the playoffs. And Mike, again, I'd love to know your opinion on this. We've argued this, and you said, I don't even care about the regular season. I don't even care about basketball anymore because they're a bunch of peewees. So your thoughts, Mike?
Well, me and you always talk about it, and basketball is becoming unbearable to watch because of all these prima donnas or stars that you want to call them, to where as soon as they go to the basket and they get, they get like a little wind past their ear, they want a foul called. Now with the load management that has happened, the only difference is that these athletes are not that bright. You just don't say anything, just do it. And I understand the circumstances to the fans that if they pay money and they want to see you, but if you don't say anything and don't do anything, and then it just happens and occurs, as long as there's an attendance and attendance keeps going up in the NBA, it's not going to change. And obviously the rules have changed according to when LeBum came in, so unfortunately, and I'm thankful for saying this, that I really watch basketball. If I do, 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, opening night ceremony, and I'll watch Banner 19 raised again this year. So until then, I can't watch a sport when you got too many prima donnas.
I do not believe the Celtics will win Banner 19 this year. I know they.
Oh my God!
You could say, "Oh my God," all you want. You could book that, Mike. You can come on this show anytime you want.
If they stay healthy again,
they're not winning it.
Banner
I'm telling you, they're not winning it this year. I'm telling you, they're not winning it this year. I know all the Celtic fans right now because of what they did the Knicks in game number one.
I don't even know.
No, I'm just saying what I've read.
Game one.
I'm just telling you what everybody is saying right now, about including Stephen A. Smith, who's sitting there. And a couple of days ago, yeah, Stephen, you're hearing. I hope you're listening. And if you're not, you can kiss my ass. You went out there two friggin' weeks ago and said that the Knicks are going to the finals. And then all of a sudden today on national television with the 76ers in Milwaukee and you have the Celtics going? Shame on you.
He doesn't know anything.
Pee-wee.
But I have a question. I know you probably watched last night's game, and regardless of what happened, what do you actually think of the Knicks roster? Because I felt that too much of the chemistry has changed.
I don't think it. First of all, you brought in Mikal Bridges. He came in. They just started practicing.
And I know it takes a while.
Hold on. I'm giving it to you. Carl Anthony Towns was just traded a week and a half ago. Okay, he doesn't even know the offense and even what the offense is supposed to do and the defense is supposed to do and what he's supposed to do on the perimeter. So take that away. All right. They don't have Mitchell Robinson. They didn't have what's his name again? Precious. They didn't have a lot of their players there, and you're looking off the bench. They played very, very small against the Celtics. Look what they were doing on their second team. They had Josh Hart. They had McBride. They have Jalen Brunson. Their big man in the middle was who, Speedy? Mikal Bridges. You're not going to.
I thought it was Jericho Sim.
No. Jericho Sim was back and forth. He wasn't. No, he wasn't. In the third quarter, they were playing small against a very big Celtic team.
Jericho said there's no offense.
There's too many injuries right now, and there's 2 or 3 guys right now coming to the roster, Payne and all these other guys, that have to understand the rotation, where the rotation is moving. I'm telling you right now, that is not the Knicks team that you're going to see. I'm going to tell you this right now. This team is winning 55 to 60 games this year. This is a good team, and this is a team that can compete against the Celtics. No question whatsoever. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm even going to go on film right now as you hear it. They're going to beat the Celtics. They're going to beat the Celtics in the playoffs in a 7-game series. You heard it from me. They beat the Celtics. They meet the Celtics. They beat the Celtics. And that has nothing to do with being a Knicks fan. When this team gets healthy with Mitchell Robinson and Carl Anthony Towns, Cat, playing together, they are a better team than Celtics. They can absolutely compete against the Celtics.
All right, we have our former Celtics fan turned Knicks fan, Jeff, joining us.
I completely agree with you, Harold. It's not about who the Celtics had that was injured in Porzingis. It's just about who we had that was injured. And like you said, once we get Mitchell Robinson back, that team is in trouble when they're at full strength too. We're going to be one of the best teams in the NBA. It doesn't matter that the Celtics were also missing guys last night and didn't make a three-pointer for the last 8 minutes of the game and basically just drubbed us. You know what I'm saying? That none of that matters. Because once we get Mitchell Robinson and his 7 rebounds a game back, we're going straight to the finals.
First of all, it wasn't 7. It was 11. But I'm going to help you out there. But
well, he wouldn't have had any last night because, unfortunately, the Celtics didn't miss. And we needed them to miss.
That's because the Knicks didn't even believe in defense. That's probably why. I mean, the
whole. Well, they were also shooting the lights out. They said they tied an NBA record for 3-pointers.
I know,
so
29. I got it.
Right. Mitchell Robinson wouldn't have had many rebounds last night anyways. But if he had gotten those 11 rebounds, we would have been cooking.
Cooking with what?
Out of here.
Well, there he goes.
There
It doesn't
we go.
it doesn't matter that they were without Porzingis and did all of that with Luke Cornett at center or a 40-year-old man in Al Horford. We were missing 11 rebounds from Mitchell Robinson. That's all that matters. Just concentrate on our guys that were out and never mind that the opposition was shorthanded as well. And that's typical Knicks thinking.
Thank
I
you,
like
Jeff.
where your head's at.
Thank you, Jeff.
Well, if you really think about it, Jeff, when they had all their bench players play, the Knicks almost made a comeback.
Right, when they had like third stringers in, like
All right.
Dennis Kane,
All right, I'm done.
and guys like that.
Thank you,
Right,
Jeff.
but
Thank you.
Mikey, you don't see like the big picture as a Knicks fan.
All right. Goodbye,
because,
Jeff.
Because we were missing.
I will say this. I will say this. I think the Knicks got something in that kid McBride. He's got a nice shot.
Okay.
No, McBride. No, he dude, he was on fire last night.
Yeah, he got a nice shot.
All right.
Terrific
we love
shot. And Cat Williams looks great, but it doesn't matter that Porzingis
Cat Williams.
I'm not.
Who?
Williams. Goodbye, Jeff. Thank you. But Cat Williams. Come on, Jeff. I mean, Cat Williams can't stand P. Diddy. I mean, if we're gonna get in, we're gonna bring up Cat Williams. Let's talk about that. But I mean, seriously, I understand what Jeff wants to make jokes. We all know he's a Celtic fan. He's not a Knicks fan. He's not a Jet fan. We all know that he likes to come on the show. Mikey loves him. I would probably believe that Mikey would eat Oreos out of his ass too, right, Speedy? What do you think, Speedy?
That's Mike.
I'm
He's right
asking
here.
you. What
He's
do you think?
He's right
But
here.
I'm asking
Ask
you.
Jabba. Let's know what Jabba wants.
I don't think Jabba knows Mike. I'm asking you.
He knows the concept of Oreos better than I do.
Well, you don't know Mikey, so you don't know the Oreos.
But the Oreos are what matters here. We want to know. Jabba's new. We need his thoughts.
I'm sure a Wu-Tang pie with the rock.
I'm definitely not eating the cream out. I know that.
What about the cows? Do they eat the cream?
Well,
Oh, they'll eat anything.
well, Speedy's got some hay in his ass.
It's a different color though, remember?
That's true. It's a dark color.
Mike doesn't like the different color.
Oh man, what a show!
The only
Thank you.
chocolate I do is Oreos and ice cream. That's it.
I like ice cream, chocolate ice cream too. By the way,
My least favorite.
chocolate ice cream.
Yeah.
Chocolate's a good flavor.
No. I'm a cookies and cream and butter pecan guy.
You're from Nebraska. I mean, that's something else.
Yeah,
As long as you didn't say coffee or Rocky Road. Okay?
No.
People eat coffee ice
Cookies and cream. That boy
It's
Scoop.
actually pretty good.
Ugh.
I don't mind it.
Well, you like coffee,
Right.
I not me. Ugh.
We actually on our ag hall, we actually have our own ice cream store. Like on campus.
Really?
Like it's from the cows there that the ag department that want to
You know
be farmers and whatever. They work on the cows and then make their own ice cream.
Yeah. Jabba, it's so interesting because every time I go to another state, the milk tastes different. I don't know what it is. Like here in New York, and I eat I drink 2% milk. I don't like the whole milk. I don't like the 1%. I like the 2%. I like it like watered down. But anytime I get 2% milk, I go to Florida. I've been to Colorado. I've been all over the place, but everywhere it has this like weird tangy taste. Why is that? I mean, you're a milk guy.
Well, it's how the cows are fed, like what their diet is. That's why grass-fed beef tastes different than, structured beef and all the other stuff. So, yeah, it's just the way they're fed. So,
Interesting.
I don't like milk, so I don't care unless it's on cereal.
So if we cut Jeff up a little bit and feed him to the cows, it'd have a little tangy taste to it.
Snug keeps chiming in. I don't know why he doesn't call.
I don't drink a lot of milk.
That's the now soundbite for Java now.
I don't drink a lot of milk.
Well, there's a lot of ups and downs, if you know what I mean.
I like chocolate milk. That's the one chocolate I do like, which is very hypocritical that I don't like chocolate ice cream.
Yeah, it is kind of hypocritical.
Oh gosh.
We love you, Keith. I don't think P. Diddy does.
It's gross. Gross sexual crap.
I had this conversation. We've kind of ended the last couple of shows with food. Okay, question. What do you put on your hot dog?
I don't like hot dogs. Speedy does. What do you like?
So my favorite hot dog is chili cheese hot dog.
Chili.
Oh,
Yes.
you
He
just
likes
made
the
my-
chili. He
you
likes
just
the
made
meat
my
on top of
nipples
the meat,
hard.
you know? He likes the meat on top of the meat.
What did you say, Java?
You just made my nipples hard.
Speedy, you know what that means?
Chili
If it
cheese
gets
dog
hard,
is
you have to do
fantastic.
something. You got to do something. Speedy.
I'm trying to hear Java.
No, but I'm telling you, his
I
nipples
don't
are
care about that.
His nipples are hard. That's the most important part.
I wanted to hear Java analyze hot dogs, not you saying things about nipples.
I love a chili cheese dog, but
You know you can milk anything with nipples.
yes, we can produce milk too. But it has to be shredded cheese, not cheese sauce.
Okay, that's fair. I've had both of them. I like them. I like them both either way. I'm not as picky with that kind of thing. But yeah, that would probably be my favorite topping for a hot
Speedy,
dog.
what's your G spot?
My what?
What's your G spot?
I have no idea.
No, but what really? What
I have no idea.
What is your G spot?
I don't know.
What do you mean? You don't know what a G spot is?
No.
What do you mean? If you ever felt a G spot,
I don't know.
you got to touch it, right? It's got like a nipple feel.
Congratulations.
So have you ever?
No.
Why not?
I don't know what it is.
I'm gonna explain to you. It feels like a little like a little rubber thing, you know, and you gotta hit it. It's like a G spot, you know.
I don't know what a G spot is, so I need a different analogy.
You might need a picture for this one. Oh. Oh man, what a way to end it.
Oh, anyways, what a show.
Of course you found that one.
Oh, great.
Oh, Speedy, it's always about that glory hole, right? Duh.
Oh, that's
All
so
right,
good.
ladies and gentlemen, what a show. Thank you to obviously our goaltending friend, Eddie Lack, for joining us. Fantastic, as always. Oh, and thank you to our very special guy, first time on our show, PA announcer, Mets PA announcer, Colin Cosell. He was fantastic. I
Oh, he
love
was
it.
great. He was great.
Really, really was. Great interview. Obviously, thank you to all the fans. Keep listening to us. Download us. Or anytime you want to go on Spotify, you want to go on Apple, you can find us, The Sports Loudmouth. There will be a big announcement next week. We're changing the show's name. So we're working on a logo. When that happens, you guys will see it. And we're working on so many different things moving forward. So stay tuned for that. By the way, Jabba, as always, I mean, your second full episode. I mean, how was it, man? How was it?
Oh, it was great. I mean, Colin was awesome. Just knowing like the company that you're in and like the stories, like he could probably do a whole show by himself just talking about memories with his grandpa and all those things. So no, it's just cool. Happy for him and his opportunity. And, you know, he does a great job. So, you know, that was awesome. And other than Speedy's question to Eddie, everything was good.
Yes, everything was good. But anyways, again, thank you to all the fans out there. Keep listening to us, YouTube, The Sports Loudmouth. We have the Sports Loudmouth Radio. If you want to check out all the short Speedy cuts up and chops up. By the way, Speedy posted up a short for you, almost broke 3,000 already. So I just want to let you know it was less than 24 hours.
Yeah, Java retweeted it.
Yes, I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know. It's hopping and popping, if you know what I mean. Speedy, you know all about popping, right? No. What do you mean? You've never popped before?
I popped a balloon, but
I'm sorry.
That's so good.
Oh man, I
popped the balloon.
That's all he's getting.
Well, you probably haven't popped much else.
I'm not describing it.
Sorry, I'm gonna have a heart attack.
Great for your echo thing.
Oh man. Anyways, we'll be back on Tuesday, not Monday. Speedy's got what do you got, Speedy?
I have a dentist to get out 3 more cavities in the back of my teeth, and I have a gastro.
You got to stop eating that candy, Speedy. What else are you eating? What do you think is causing that? What do you mean?
I don't know. We've done 3 years worth of accumulation. So
What do you mean 3 years? You haven't been to the dentist in 3 years?
not until 2 months ago,
Why?
because my parents had to deal with other other people's doctors.
Okay, so what do you think you've been eating that's causing these?
I don't know. I've eaten so many things over the last 3 years. Take your pick of every food you've ever heard of.
Besides food, what else have you eaten?
What?
Besides food, what have you eaten?
What are you even talking about?
Oh man.
Anyways. I'm done. I'm done before I get myself even in more trouble. Thank you to the fans. We'll be back on Tuesday. Good night, everybody. Oh my God.
The Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Oh.